Chapter 233. Fairy of the Ninth Heaven. The man who was originally betrothed to her was a scumbag, but he was a relative of the Sky Emperor. The mythological beast gritted its teeth and said, because he coveted the beauty of the Ninth Heaven fairy, he was shocked at the first meeting. After that, he kept coming to harass the fairy. And because the fairy couldn't stand his harassment, she directly hid in the demon realm and met my master. This person's heart is vicious, but his family's influence in the divine realm is monstrous. He is determined to obtain the fairy of the Ninth Heaven that he wants. How can he let a nameless pawn from the devil realm snatch it away? So on the eve of the wedding, he directly sent people to set up a formation in my master's palace. At the same time, he added the spiritual transformation pill to his food. My master is a gentleman. He never thought that there would be such a crooked practice in this world. After he took the spiritual transformation pill, he lost all his spiritual power. At the same time, he mixed a very strong aphrodisiac in his food. Because of the restriction of the formation, my master couldn't leave the palace at all. Moreover, that despicable villain stuffed several palace maids who were also fed the aphrodisiac into the formation. So in this formation, my master and several palace maids slept together. The next morning, when they were preparing to pick up the bride, they couldn't find her. When they opened the gate of the palace, they found this ugly scene. The Sky Emperor was furious. Invincible actually provoked the majesty of the imperial family on the eve of the wedding. He was directly sentenced to death on the immortal punishment platform. My master couldn't defend himself, and the fairy of the Ninth Heaven also shed tears of pain. In this way, my master was directly thrown off the immortal punishment platform. The fairy of the Ninth Heaven was ordered to watch the execution. The Sky Emperor originally wanted her to give up, but he didn't expect that after my master jumped off the immortal punishment platform, this affectionate and righteous woman turned to the Sky Emperor and the scumbag and said, I don't believe that he would do such a thing. He must have been framed. I can see from his eyes that he has suffered a great grievance. I am his woman in life and his ghost in death. Then, when the guards weren't paying attention, she directly jumped down after him. When I found my master, I didn't see the fairy of the Ninth Heaven. I only saw my master turned into an immortal herb and fell in this back mountain. So I didn't go anywhere and just stayed here to guard him for tens of thousands of years. Xiao Xiao and Yanran listened to the whole story in silence. They didn't expect the legend to be true, but the details were actually so tragic. After a while, Yanran stood up from Xiao Xiao's arms and walked to the front of the mythological beast. I admire you for being a sentimental and righteous mythological beast. After so many years, we can't go to heaven to seek justice for your master's injustice, but now that the spirit-transforming pill has appeared in the human world, it must be related to the scum you spoke of. In the world of cultivation, the strengths of the aristocratic families of the East are alchemy and formation. My goal is to destroy them, so can it be considered as avenging your master? Actually, my master turned into the immortal punishment grass. I guess he wants to cure the poison of the spiritual transformation pill. The spiritual beast finally spoke his mind. To tell you the truth, we are here to find the antidote of the spiritual transformation pill. The most important one is the immortal punishment grass. We want to ask you for it. If you cure me of the spiritual transformation pill, I swear I will help your master to eliminate the poison of the spiritual transformation pill from the world. The Eastern aristocratic families will no longer do evil in the world. Yanran said these powerful words. Although her voice wasn't loud, every word knocked on the spiritual beast's heart. After the mythical beast heard this, it raised its head and looked at the sky. Its huge eyes revealed a look of longing. It looked at a certain direction in the sky and knelt down on the ground. Its huge body shook the ground 3 times. Then, he kowtowed. Every time he knocked his head on the ground, a big hole would be created in the ground. Then, the spiritual beast crawled on the ground and began to cry. That cry was heart-wrenching, as if he wanted to cry out the sorrow of tens of thousands of years. He wanted to cry out the injustice of tens of thousands of years. Xiao Zhao's heart suddenly swelled. Although he hadn't seen this invincible master before, he was really his master. He and Yanran knelt beside the spiritual beast and kowtowed 3 times. Finally, The wind calmed down and the crying stopped. With tears in his eyes, the spiritual beast said to Qiao Xiao and Yanran, "Bring me out. I will bring you to get the immortal herb." Qiao Xiao directly moved the two of them from the array to the originally dark forest. At this time, the sky was completely dark, and the stars in the sky were bleak. They could only vaguely see the whirlpool. They saw the mythological beast recite a chant, and instantly, like a cover, the whirlpool opened from the middle, revealing the full appearance of the inside. It turned out to be a cave with a universe inside. The cave was very wide and also very deep. Thinking about it, for a creature as big as the mythological beast to survive inside, it must have a very large space. The spiritual beast led the two of them directly into the cave. After walking for more than 10 zhang, they finally saw a green immortal herb. Its whole body was emitting a faint green light. Under the reflection of the moonlight, it looked especially proud and aloof. "This is my master," the spiritual beast's buzzing voice sounded. Yanran stepped forward and bowed. She said to the immortal herb, "Invincible Lord, although the injustice you suffered in your previous life couldn't be redeemed, in my current life, I will definitely help you get it back." Qiao Xiao stepped forward and dug out the immortal herb along with the soil. At this time, the light green immortal herb seemed to be responding. Faint dewdrops formed on its leaves. Qiao Xiao gently put it into the bracelet and asked Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming to take good care of it. Then, Qiao Xiao turned around and said to the spiritual beast, "We can be considered to be even. I won't haggle with you for what you did to Yanran just now. Now, I want to return this favor to you. Your master has been taken away by us. I think you also want to return to the demon world, right?" The spiritual beast was still grieving. Hearing Qiao Xiao's words, it suddenly opened its eyes wide. "You can let me return to the demon world?" Qiao Xiao raised his head and looked at the spiritual beast. "Of course, I'm the crown prince of the demon world. If you want to return to the demon world, it's only a matter of a word from me." The spiritual beast was skeptical. Qiao Xiao couldn't help but feel discouraged. Fine, I'll directly send you back, lest you become homeless." Then, he activated the totem and directly set up the yin-yang formation. The huge spiritual beast disappeared in the blink of an eye. "Qiao Xiao, did you really send him back to the demon world?" "Of course. Last time, I passed through this formation and directly returned to the demon world. But I can't bear to part with you, so I came back." In the space, Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming were looking at the immortal grass. The immortal grass couldn't speak, but it seemed to have consciousness. Its leaves were constantly condensing dew, as if it was greeting Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming. "Let's go, Yanran. Let's hurry up and refine the immortal pill. It'll help you recover your spiritual energy and revitalize the world of cultivation." Yanran's eyes lit up with a spark of hope. It was so firm and bright, illuminating the path forward in her heart. After returning to the hotel, the two didn't delay for a moment. Yanran took out the herbs and the cauldron she brought, while Qiao Xiao was responsible for using his spiritual energy to refine the immortal pill's antidote bit by bit according to the steps in the book. This was their first attempt. There was only one immortal execution grass, so they mustn't make any mistakes. They put the other herbs inside bit by bit, gradually increasing the temperature. The first few herbs had already turned into white powder, but no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't form the thick medicinal juice that was described in the book. The two tried for an entire night, but they failed before they could even put in the immortal execution grass. It seems like this immortal pill isn't that easy to refine. Qiao Xiao sat on the bed dejectedly. He stretched out his hands and lay on the bed. "Yanran, I'm so tired. Let's rest for a while." Yanran was also physically and mentally exhausted. She directly sat on the chair. "Where did we go wrong? Why can't we refine it according to the steps in the book?" At this time, Kong Xiaoming interrupted. "Qiao Xiao, did you follow the steps in the book?" Qiao Xiao said, "Of course, we must follow the steps in the book." "Then have you ever thought that this book might be as incomplete as my original Invincible? That's why you keep failing." When Qiao Xiao heard Kong Xiaoming's words, the more he thought about it, the more reasonable it made sense. "Yanran, think about this possibility. Could this book be the same as some of the books I read before? It's incomplete. When I stole this book, I almost fell into an illusion. In the illusion, there was a woman refining pills. Do you think she's the spiritual consciousness of this book? The person in the illusion can't be the spiritual consciousness of the book. That's to confuse your mind. If she's the spiritual consciousness, she should have followed the book, Yenran said with certainty. But what you said is possible. Maybe there are a few pages in the middle of the book that are incomplete. We've been practicing for a long time and are familiar with every step. Whether it's the temperature control, the order of putting the herbs, or the quality of the herbs, there's no problem. Could it be that you've been filming for the past 6 months, so you've neglected your practice? No, Yenran. Although I'm filming here, I've been practicing very hard. I've never fallen behind in my practice. I know this is the only way to help you find your spiritual power. Of course, I won't be lazy. Then I don't know what to do. Yenran closed her eyes tiredly. Let me think about it again. Xiao Xiao looked at Yenran's tired face. He pressed his hands on her temples and gently massaged her. Yenran, you're tired too. I still have to film today. You rest for a while. I'll try to come back early tonight. Yenran stood up and hugged Xiao Xiao. She said to him, Go and film well. I'm going back today. I have other things to deal with. Let's put the alchemy matter aside for now. When I think of a way and you're done filming, we'll study it carefully. What? Yenran, you're leaving today? You've only been here for 2 nights. Stay with me a little longer. Xiao Xiao really couldn't bear for Yenran to leave. Yenran kissed Xiao Xiao lightly on the lips. Be good, be good. I really have something to do. Your scenes should be finished soon. I'll wait for you at home. Xiao Xiao reluctantly went to film. Some scenes were shot several times but still couldn't get the feeling. Director Lin couldn't help but get angry. Xiao Xiao, where's your soul? Where's your soul? Xiao Xiao touched his nose. His soul had long been taken away by Yenran. After a day of shooting, he returned to the hotel and saw the cold room. His heart was melancholy. It was no longer as warm as it was 2 days ago. Chapter 234. The Eastern aristocratic family had been having a hard time recently. Originally, it was not easy for a large corporation to support a few thousand employees. Furthermore, the Eastern aristocratic family had to spend a large amount of energy and money to produce pills. Furthermore, Minister Zhou was like an insatiable vampire, constantly sucking the freshest blood from the Jiutian family. Old Yi pressed his throbbing temples. Ming Tian didn't even dare to breathe loudly in front of him. The air pressure in the room had sunk to the bottom. Next month, we have to pay back 1 billion in loans. What can you do? Old Ye's deep voice sounded. Ming Tian's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He wiped it with the sleeve of his suit. Right now, there's only 1 billion in the account. If it's exposed that we've breached the contract, all the financial institutions will surround us and block us. All the assets may be seized by them in advance, and the entire corporation will go into bankruptcy. Old Yi threw the pen in his hand at Ming Tian. I'm asking you what solution you have, not the consequences. Ming Tian was so scared that he knelt down. Old Yi, our cultivation world should focus on cultivation. We're not good at business operations in the human world. I don't have a solution at all. Other than selling assets, what else can we do? Selling assets? You want me to sell assets? How will I explain it to the higher-ups? Old Yi, we must report the situation of the Jiutian family to the higher-ups. At this time, we can only ask him to help us. Ask him to come forward and ask all the banks to automatically extend our loans. He's only the head of the National Security Department. How can he manage the financial system? You're really whimsical. You don't understand the rules of the human world at all. Old Yi began to roar. Ming Tian, a man, actually began to cry. Old Yi, I've been with you through life and death for so many years. At the most critical moment, face is no longer important. The cultivation world isn't like God's. Not everything can be done. Many operations are limited by the rules of the human world. Just like those movies that we've already filmed, we can't schedule it, we can't get it online, we can't get the money back. Who can we blame for that? At most, I'll tell the higher-ups that he needs the funds later, but we'll have to think of a way to get this 1 billion yuan. You see which assets can be sold as soon as possible and fill this hole first. If the proper channels don't work, think of a way to get our cultivators to do it. I don't believe that there's anything you can't handle with such a weak group in the human world. Even if you have to rob them, you have to get the money back for me. For the convenience of her work, Yen Ran temporarily rented an office. Once school was over, she would report here on time. On the opposite wall was a large atlas of the Eternal Heaven Department. Yen Ran had already made a lot of markings on the atlas. She had already touched 70 to 80% of each company's main business and current projects. Those that were profitable and those that were not were marked with different colors. Now, other than the bank accounts and the real financial statements of the Forever family, she had already sorted out a clear idea of the other major businesses. She was trying to use her own method to compile the financial statements. According to the publicly disclosed data, she found that Eternal Heaven Entertainment and Eternal Heaven Technology's financial statements were falsified. They made up accounts receivable and income, as well as misstated costs. Their methods were not very clever. Yen Ran used her professional knowledge as a top student in the finance department to calculate that her bank account was definitely not that much. It seemed that they had also taken care of the law firm. The annual financial statements had clearly inflated the income, and a lot of the long-term investments on the books were fake. Yen Ran sent someone to pretend to be the assistant of the fund manager, and went with the real fund manager to the Eternal Heaven Department's company to do research. The results of the research allowed her to obtain more first-hand data. Very quickly, the entire financial situation of the Eternal Heaven Department slowly surfaced. Big sister Yen Ran, Eternal Heaven Entertainment is privately auctioning off their assets. Little Six rushed into Yen Ran's office. When Yen Ran heard this news, her eyebrows didn't move. Looks like they're really going to be hurt. Little Six, our opportunity is coming. Properly investigate who they're privately contacting, and spread the news that Eternal Heaven Entertainment is about to close down. Give these buyers a good chess piece, so they can get their assets at the lowest price. We can't let Eternal Heaven Entertainment recover. Just like this, a piece of news quietly spread in the financial circle. Originally, it was a real estate agent's advertisement. It didn't mention any names, but the location of the assets was very clear. They were all marked with the lowest price, and urgently for sale. As for the news of these assets being auctioned off, even if it wasn't blatant, under the dog nose of the financial circle's business managers, there was nowhere to hide. Very quickly, they investigated and found that these assets at such a low price actually belonged to Eternal Heaven Entertainment. This made all of the financial institutions' jaws drop. These were their high-quality assets, high-quality enterprises, and strategic customers. Could it be that there was a problem with them? As a result, Ming Tian, who was originally in a state of raising money everywhere, had no choice but to receive n number of people from financial institutions every day to investigate the situation. He was very surprised that the company had carried out such a secret asset dump. How did it leak out? He hurriedly put on a smiling face and denied, "There's no such thing, there's no such thing. I don't know who put up this advertisement. There must be some people who are idle and bored. We definitely wouldn't dump our assets." The words were said, but at this time, several interested buyers that had been in contact with them lowered the price even more, wanting to dig out a piece of meat from the palm of their hands. Ming Tian gritted his teeth, but there was nothing he could do. Originally, they only needed to sell 3 buildings, but now they had to sell 5 buildings. It really was a vicious cycle. Ming Tian felt that this period of time was not going smoothly, as if there was an invisible hand pushing him from behind. However, everything happened so naturally. If this continued, he would soon be unable to breathe. Little Six, find a way to go to the banks that Eternal Heaven Entertainment is working with and get their repayment time. This is only the first billion yuan loan, and they're already selling their assets. I want to see how much time they have to breathe before they start to repay the second loan. Okay, big sister Yenran. Don't worry, I can take care of this small matter very quickly. Yenran made another mark on her map. She predicted that when she made a few more marks, the eastern aristocratic families would be desperate. She checked her dantian, but it was still empty. There was no change. She sighed. All the meridians in her body were blocked. The hibiscus chart was constantly cultivating, but it only made her spiritual power stronger. It did not help her spiritual power at all. It seemed that the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill was imperative. What exactly was the problem? Yenran was a little anxious. If the eastern aristocratic families were desperate, who could stop them? After a few days of adjustment, Xiao Xiao suppressed his longing for Yenran and seriously immersed himself in filming. More than half of the scenes were done, and the whole youth campus drama had reached its climax. After nearly 2 months, the scenes were finally coming to an end. Jiang Hao had become a popular figure on campus. He had used his charm to conquer a group of students who were willing to stand with him. He took advantage of his work at the broadcasting station and used his pen to write and broadcast some positive energy manuscripts every day. He imperceptibly instilled the correct way to deal with campus violence in the students. At the same time, he constantly promoted the law on the protection of minors. This made the students who didn't understand the law and didn't dare to resist slowly gather around Jiang Hao as if they had found an organization. Jiang Hao, by uniting a group of righteous students, encouraged students who had been subjected to school violence to bravely speak out, collect evidence, and report to the school and the police. Jiang Hao used this opportunity to get more powerful evidence. In the end, the leader of the evil forces was finally sent to the police station. Jiang Hao wrote his voice in the new day's broadcast. Students, when threats and violence come, don't be afraid. Believe that evil will not prevail over good. All the forces of justice will be your strong backing. Don't easily bow to the forces of evil. Once your heart is determined, it will emit a strong deterrent force. Look at this beautiful and clear blue sky. Justice will always be with you. Jiang Hao's voice was steady and powerful, floating over the campus and penetrating into the hearts of every student. Many people were facing the direction of the broadcasting station, as if they wanted to see the hero who had the courage to lead them through the sound waves. The national flag fluttered over the playground, blending with the dazzling sun in the distance. It was a natural scene. Click. The film ended. Under Director Lin's announcement, the filming task was finally completed successfully. The whole crew was jubilant, cheering and jumping, as if it was the new year. Director Lin waved his hand and invited everyone to dinner. Xiao Xiao was now eager to return home. He really wanted to fly back immediately, but Director Lin directly hooked his arm around his neck. You are the male lead. I really chose the right one. Tonight, we won't go home until we are drunk. Xiao Xiao had no choice but to book a flight for the next morning and walk with a group of people to the most famous hotel in the county. Hey Xiao Xiao. The female lead, Guan Wan, caught up from behind. Let's go together. Thank you in the film. You saved me so many times that I almost took it seriously. Xiao Xiao turned to look at her. That was acting. Don't take it seriously. Last time, my girlfriend came, you saw it. Guan Wan did not expect Xiao Xiao to directly reject her so thoroughly. She was a little embarrassed. Your girlfriend is quite beautiful. I saw her last time. You two seem to have a good relationship. Xiao Xiao immediately laughed. Of course, she will be my wife in the future. Of course, we have a good relationship. After that, he called out to Jing Shu, who was originally behind. What time is the flight tomorrow morning? I will go back first. You stay here and arrange the follow-up matters. Jing Shu immediately stepped forward. Boss, don't worry. Leave it to me. Looking after your girlfriend is more important. Guan Wan gradually fell 2 steps behind. Looking at Xiao Xiao's slender and straight back in front of her, her heart was broken. Chapter 235. The plane flew across the blue sky and landed back at Nanchuan's airport after a loud roar. Xiao Xiao was fully armed. He quickly got off the plane and walked towards the exit of the airport. They hadn't seen each other for more than 2 months. He wanted to rush back to Yenron's side as soon as possible. "Brother Qiao!" A surprised cry rang out. Qiao Xiao, who had just stepped through the security check, looked over. Then, a delicate figure dashed over and rushed into his arms. Qiao Xiao took a step back from the impact. He felt a headache coming on. How did this Yi Xuanfei know that he was coming back today? Yi Xuanfei hooked her arms around his neck and jumped up and down. The big smile on her face was like the warm winter sun. Qiao Xiao had no choice but to pull her hands away from his neck. He asked expressionlessly, "Why are you here?" "I saw the news that you finished filming yesterday. I guessed that you would come back early this morning. I've been waiting here for the whole morning. I didn't know which flight you would take and was afraid that I would miss your flight. I wanted to see you for a long time. If you hadn't said that you didn't allow me to visit you, I would have taken leave to accompany you." Yi Xuanfei chattered non-stop. "Oh, let's go. Don't let others see us." Qiao Xiao grabbed her arm and dragged her out of the airport. "Hey, brother Qiao, slow down. I'm still wearing high heels." Qiao Xiao let go of her and strode out. Yi Xuanfei had no choice but to jog and follow behind. Yi Xuanfei's car was already waiting at the entrance. Qiao Xiao didn't stand on ceremony and got into the car. Yi Xuanfei rolled up the front and threw herself into Qiao Xiao's arms. "Brother Qiao, I missed you so much." Then she pouted her pink lips and asked for a kiss from Qiao Xiao. Qiao Xiao blocked her sexy red lips. "What's wrong? Have you forgotten my rules?" Yi Xuanfei had no choice but to give up. She rubbed against his chest. Qiao Xiao's fists clenched and loosened and tightened again. In the end, he still pushed away Yi Xuanfei's hands that were messing around on his body. He straightened his face and chided her softly, "How can a girl be so immature?" Yi Xuanfei didn't care about Qiao Xiao's stern face. She couldn't wait to take off Qiao Xiao's shirt and press her face against his chest to relieve her lovesickness. "Brother Qiao, why are you so fierce? I haven't seen you in a long time. Let me touch you." "Sit properly, I have something to ask you." Qiao Xiao pushed Yi Xuanfei away and ordered, "Have you caused any trouble for Yenran during this time?" Yi Xuanfei was unhappy when she heard the words Yenran. "Brother Qiao, why can't you forget her?" "I don't dare to disobey your orders. I only talk to her about you. Other than that, I don't even bother to talk to her." "Is this how you get along with her? You really didn't bully her? She's just an ordinary human now. Is it worth it for me to bully her?" Yi Xuanfei sat up straight and leaned against the back seat lazily. She fiddled with Qiao Xiao's earlobe with one hand. "Brother Qiao, aren't you being too concerned about her? No matter what, you have to do what you promised me." "What did I promise you?" Qiao Xiao moved back and leaned against the window. He stretched his long legs forward and looked sloppy. He couldn't be bothered with Yi Xuanfei. "Didn't you agree to join the Eastern aristocratic family? And didn't you agree to marry me after graduating from university?" Yi Xuanfei was a little anxious. "How can you believe a man's words? And didn't I say that I needed to consider it?" My filming this time interrupted my consideration. "Wait, I need to consider it carefully." Qiao Xiao's words made Yi Xuanfei's eyes turn red with anger. Qiao Xiao saw that Yi Xuanfei was about to cry from anger. This couldn't do. He still had many uses for her in the future. "What's wrong? What's there to cry about? Do you want to marry me so badly?" All right, I didn't say that I needed to consider it." "What are you doing?" "I just came back." "Are you annoyed to see me?" "Then I'll disappear from your sight immediately, alright?" Yi Xuanfei was even more embarrassed. She tugged at Qiao Xiao's clothes and said, "Do you not like me at all? I feel that you're always patronizing me. You won't even kiss me." "I like you so much." "Aren't you touched at all? My fans all like me a lot. They even wanted to jump off a building. Do you want me to kiss every single one of them back? Am I your fan? I'm your future wife." Yi Xuanfei didn't give up and started to act arrogant. Qiao Xiao simply covered his ears. I said, girls have to respect themselves. If you continue to make a fuss, I'll disappear immediately. This sentence was indeed effective. Yi Xuanfei immediately stopped making a fuss and obediently snuggled into Qiao Xiao's arms. As Qiao Xiao woke up early in the morning, seeing that Yi Xuanfei had finally settled down, he didn't bother about her anymore. He leaned against the back of the seat and closed his eyes to rest. Gradually, the car quietened down and only Qiao Xiao's light breathing could be heard. After 10 minutes, Yi Xuanfei started to be naughty again. She moved up from Qiao Xiao's chest to his neck and used her tongue to hook his earlobe. Qiao Xiao felt as though a mosquito had bitten his ear. He casually slapped Yi Xuanfei's face. It didn't feel right. Qiao Xiao immediately woke up. He looked at Yi Xuanfei, who was covering his face pitifully. Qiao Xiao could only apologize. I'm sorry, Xuanfei. I thought there was a small bug just now. But this time, Yi Xuanfei didn't say anything. Tears gathered in her eyes and the anger in her eyes was on the verge of erupting. Qiao Xiao knew that she was in trouble. This young miss with princess syndrome was about to explode. He quickly hugged her and rubbed her face. Xuanfei, I've told you before. I'll definitely consider your request. Can you give me some time? This time, Yi Xuanfei didn't give up. Kiss me. If you kiss me, I'll believe you. Qiao Xiao couldn't bear with the discomfort in his heart and kissed her on the cheek. Yi Xuanfei immediately went for a yard after taking an inch. She pressed herself against his chest and wrapped her arms around his neck, biting his Adam's apple. Qiao Xiao immediately flew into a rage. At this moment, the car was waiting for a red light. Qiao Xiao opened the car door and ignored Yi Xuanfei's calls. He got into another car and drove away. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming looked at Qiao Xiao's actions and their eyes widened. They gave him a thumbs up. Qiao Xiao, aren't you going to use your beauty trap? Are you going to fall out with Yi Xuanfei? If a gentleman can endure it, what else can't? There's a limit to the beauty trap. Aren't you afraid that she'll torment Yanran? Qiao Xiao thought about it. It was indeed impossible to guard against her. If Yi Xuanfei transferred her anger towards him to Yanran, what should he do? There were many experts in the eastern region and Yanran's spiritual transformation pill had not been cured yet. He helplessly took out his phone and called Yi Xuanfei. Xuanfei, you went overboard just now. I'm not used to it. I just arrived today and I'm a little tired. I'll go back and rest first. I'll treat you to dinner tomorrow night. Yi Xuanfei was very unhappy. Qiao Xiao used to coax her. She didn't expect that after not seeing him for so long, he would slam the car door on her. But Qiao Xiao's phone call calmed her down temporarily. She knew that as long as he was smart, he would choose her. Even if Qiao Xiao wasn't completely used to it now, he would get used to it one day. Qiao Xiao had the right to be arrogant with her. So what if she endured it? No matter what, she would become his queen. Qiao Xiao drove directly to Yanran's house. It was the weekend and Yanran should be at home. Qiao Xiao originally wanted to give her a surprise, but when he entered the door, Mama Yan told him that Yanran had gone to the office early in the morning. After asking for the address, Qiao Xiao turned around and ran to her office. He had never been there before. When he got out of the elevator and entered the office, he saw Yanran lying on a very large table, writing something. Qiao Xiao entered the door quietly and didn't make a sound. His heart and eyes were full of people who were working seriously at this moment. There was a large piece of paper on the table in front of Yanran. There were words and drawings on it in various colors. Yanran took a ruler and measured it seriously. Then, she walked to the wall and looked at the drawings on the wall. Then, she looked at a series of reports on the other wall. Then, she walked to the table and connected 2 lines with a color pen. At the same time, she put a question mark on the upper left corner. It was already early summer. The sun shone through the window and wrapped Yanran's slender body in it. Her black hair was tied up in a high ponytail. At this time, there were a few strands of hair on her slender neck. The silky black hair made her porcelain skin look even whiter. Her eyebrows and eyes were delicate. Usually, her face was as calm as water, calm and wise. But when she was in Xiao Zhao's arms, she was so charming and moving. The goddess in Xiao Zhao's heart should be like this. Xiao Zhao leaned against the door and looked at Yan Ran working seriously. Every change in her figure, frown, or pout became the most beautiful scenery. Others said that a man who worked seriously was the sexiest, but Xiao Zhao had to say that a woman who worked seriously was the most attractive. When Yan Ran finished a part of her work and wanted to pick up the cup to drink some water, she realized that the tea in the cup was already cold. She stretched her body. Because of that, her jade-like waist attracted Xiao Zhao's eyes. Xiao Zhao's eyes deepened. When Yan Ran turned to go out to get some water, Xiao Zhao struck a pose that he thought was the most handsome. Then, he forcefully barged into Yan Ran's eyes. A sudden surprise made Yan Ran's face bloom with the most beautiful flower. That was from the bottom of her heart, the joy of seeing the person she loved. The sunlight filled Yan Ran's face, and Xiao Zhao opened his arms wide, looking at her dotingly. Yan Ran did not say anything, and just happily ran into Xiao Zhao's arms. The two of them hugged each other tightly. It had nothing to do with lust, it was just a kind of mutual longing that finally received a response. A glance of 1,000 years of love silently flowed between the two of them. Chapter 236. There was only Yan Ran in the whole office. Xiao Zhao looked at the several rooms in front and behind. They were small and chic, and the decoration was refreshing. Although it was not as stylish as his star entertainment, it was also small, but it had all the essentials, and had a different flavor. Yan Ran, you're capable. You've arranged this place in an orderly manner. Have you given the company a name? Xiao Zhao's eyes showed appreciation. This is not a company. This is a place where I deal with my daily affairs. I collected a lot of information. I can't spread it out at home, and my mother will be worried. I simply said that I opened a company outside, so that they can feel more at ease. Xiao Zhao, look, I have drawn the entire map of the Eastern aristocratic family. Yan Ran took Xiao Zhao's hand and pointed to the huge map on the wall. At this time, Xiao Zhao saw that it turned out to be a relationship chart headed by the Eastern aristocratic family. The key managers and actual controllers were drawn on the chart, and the other chart was about the introduction of each person's life and their position in the Eastern aristocratic family. Next to it was a chart showing each company's main business, profitability, assets and various financial conditions in recent years. Xiao Zhao looked at so many charts and text, and from the bottom of his heart, a kind of admiration for Yan Ran rose. Yan Ran, you did all this? You're amazing. Don't praise me. This is not what I want. People are forced. I'm sorry for you. This is my own choice. I didn't expect you to be involved. Yan Ran said with a little apology. Yan Ran, what are you talking about? Why are you treating me like an outsider? Well, I won't say polite words. When did you come back? Why didn't you tell me, so that I could pick you up? Yan Ran pulled Xiao Zhao to her face and said with a smile. I just wanted to give you a surprise. The whole movie was wrapped up yesterday. I originally wanted to come back last night, but the crew wanted to have a celebration dinner, so I could only change it to an early morning flight. Our family's Xiao Zhao is so awesome. He has already finished filming his first movie. When the time comes, I will definitely go and watch the premiere. Yes, yes. Xiao Zhao nodded vigorously. Xiao Zhao, there is one more thing that I need your help with. Yan Ran pulled Xiao Zhao to sit on the sofa. Look at how courteous you are. You should have instructed me directly. Xiao Zhao, go and do that. Yan Ran smiled. This matter is more important. I'm afraid you won't agree. As long as your safety is guaranteed, I'm willing to do anything. Xiao Zhao patted his chest and promised. I haven't even said anything yet, and you're already using this sentence to stop me. Yan Ran's eyes curved as she glanced at him coquettishly. The end of her voice clearly had a hint of coquettishness. Xiao Zhao's heart swayed, and his head suddenly became hot. Yan Ran, just say it. Whether it's climbing a mountain of swords or falling into a pot of oil, I'll do it. Unexpectedly, Yanran didn't say anything. Instead, she leaned over and hugged him. She gently kissed him on the lips and said in a low voice, "Xiao Xiao, I want you to secretly take me to the library of the Eastern aristocratic family." Xiao Xiao immediately reacted. "What? You want to go? It's too dangerous." "No, I'll do it myself." Yanran already knew that he wouldn't agree. At this time, she didn't explain anything. Instead, she hugged and kissed Xiao Xiao. After kissing for a while, she found that Xiao Xiao closed his eyes and didn't move. He even muttered, "Yanran, don't use this honey trap on me." "I won't agree." She simply shook Xiao Xiao's arm and acted coquettishly in his embrace. Xiao, just take me there." "No, definitely not." Xiao, you can do it. I won't drag you down." The coquettish, and sweet voice drilled into Xiao Xiao's ears. It was like a little bug that drilled into his heart. "No, still not." Yanran hooked her arm around Xiao Xiao's neck and gently blew into his ear. Xiao, just promise me." Xiao Xiao's Adam's apple visibly moved up and down. He took a deep breath and his ears turned red. Then, Yanran's tongue hooked Xiao Xiao's earlobe. Again and again, Xiao Xiao immediately tensed up. Then, Yanran's seductive voice sounded. Xiao, do you miss me? If you promise me, I'll listen to you." Xiao Xiao's eyes were tightly shut, but his trembling eyelashes exposed his restless heart. Who did Yanran learn this from? She was 2F** king seductive. Was she testing his willpower? Xiao Xiao was in a dilemma in his heart. One voice said no, it was too dangerous. Another voice said let's give in. And Yanran was still whispering in his ear. Xiao, do you not want me? Then, her soft tongue forcefully drilled into Xiao Xiao's ear with tenacity. Xiao Xiao's brain instantly went blank. All thoughts of agreeing or not were thrown to the back of his mind. At this moment, a man's instincts took over. Hormones rushed to the top of his head. All words were superfluous. At this moment, there was only one word. Do it. He only wanted to take Yanran to the peak of desire. The yearning of the past few months had all turned into action at this moment. The entanglement of their lips and tongues, the entanglement of their necks, was like a confession and also like a punishment. How could this little mouth make such an unreasonable request? How could this little lilac tongue provoke such a strong desire? Xiao Xiao admitted defeat. In front of Yanran, he had no bottom line and no principles. Yanran was his queen. He just had to follow all her orders. At this moment, there was only one sentence repeatedly replaying in his mind. As long as he agreed, Yanran would listen to everything he said. And Yanran only had time to say half a sentence. Xiao, this is the office." Then, she was instantly drowned by Xiao Xiao's craziness. Xiao Xiao brought her along in the huge waves of the sea. They swayed and rolled. It was calm and peaceful, and they enjoyed the sunbathing on the sea. From time to time, huge waves would rise. Their passion could burn the entire sky. Yanran felt that Xiao Xiao had a very good grasp of the rhythm. Knowing that she could not take it anymore, he would let her rest for a while and then let her receive the next wave of nourishment. The small sofa could not fit the two of them at all. From the beginning to the end, the two of them were stacked together. They just had to complete the yearning of the past few months on this small sofa. Yanran was sweating profusely. Her hair had long been scattered by Xiao Xiao. His 10 jade-like fingers liked to comb her thick hair. Unknowingly, their clothes had long disappeared. Yanran also tried her best to cooperate with Xiao Xiao, cooperating with his various bottomless requests. Yanran's face was red. In this broad daylight, everything in front of her was so clear. Touch, sight, hearing, and taste all gathered together. Yanran only knew that an entire century had passed in a daze. After it was done, Xiao Xiao panted heavily and lay on Yanran's shoulder. "Yanran, if you seduce me like this again in the future, my whole life will be on your shoulders." At this moment, Yenran was so tired that she did not want to speak. Her hands were sore, her mouth was sore, and the astringent feeling in her mouth made her feel ashamed. After a while, she heard Xiao Xiao repeat what he had always said. Yenran, I really can't wait. When will you marry me? On our big wedding night, I want you to be the happiest woman in the world. In the space, Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming were already reciting the mind-cleansing mantra. Their faces were red from Xiao Zhao's bottomless actions. The two of them simply covered their heads with their clothes and stuffed paper in their ears. However, the two of them were still communicating with their eyes. Look, this is the real deal. Just now, when he was treating Yi Xuanfei, he was so disdainful. But when he was treating this, he was really doting on her. Even such a dangerous request like going to the Eastern aristocratic family's library was agreed to by Xiao Xiao. She's really a femme fatale. Her beauty is really alluring. Ah Xiao, I want to take a shower. My body is so sticky and uncomfortable. After a long time, Yenran finally found her voice. Xiao Xiao kissed her lightly on the lips. Come, let's go home. Yenran glanced at her office. It was a mess. It seemed that she would not be able to work today. She was also exhausted. She should take a break. After the two of them cleaned up and ate a big meal prepared by Uncle Wu, they could finally sit down and talk about business. Yenran, why must you go to the Eastern aristocratic family's library? It's really dangerous there. What are you looking for? Can't you tell me? I'll help you find it. Xiao Xiao hugged Yenran in his arms and tried to persuade her again. No, Ah Xiao. I've studied it. Although the refining process of the spiritual transformation pill is very detailed, it's missing the most important point. It's how to communicate with it. These ancient pills follow the ancient method. After refining them, they will form their own consciousness. If you want to cure it, then you must communicate with it and it has to be willing to cure it for you. So we have to return to the library and refine pills there. Only then can we truly refine the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill. So I have no choice but to go. Yenran looked into Xiao Zhao's eyes and said seriously. Xiao Xiao suddenly recalled that night in the library. He had been mesmerized by a kind of fragrance. Then he saw a celestial alchemist surrounded by a group of small animals. In the end, after the pill was refined, that slender jade hand reached out towards him and was about to feed it into his mouth. Xiao Xiao suddenly quivered. Could that be the spiritual consciousness of the spiritual transformation pill? Yenron's eyes sparkled. If it's like what you said, then it should be her. I was only guessing, I didn't think it would be like this. Xiao Xiao, it looks like we have to make this trip. Xiao Xiao sighed. Yenran, the Eastern aristocratic family really has a deep foundation. There are many experts in it and many traps. Just its circulation formation alone is enough to make many people flinch. I don't agree with you going because I'm really worried that I can't take care of you. Forget it, if this trip is necessary, I'll do my best to protect you. Yenran snuggled into Xiao Zhao's arms. Ah Xiao, I owe you in this life. What are you talking about? I just hope to get rid of these bastards as soon as possible and let my Yenran become a high and mighty goddess again. But Yenran, if we want to enter the Eastern aristocratic family, we might have to use Yi Xuanfei. Last time, I accidentally entered the library. I don't know if I'll be so lucky this time. We have to get Yi Xuanfei's facial recognition data. I don't think this will be difficult. Ah Xiao, aren't you going to have dinner with Yi Xuanfei tomorrow night? We can take this opportunity to get the 3D data of her face. Xiao Xiao suddenly stuttered. Yenran, how did you know I was going to have dinner with her? Chapter 237. Yenran glanced at him and said, This love rival of mine is constantly reporting to me about your interactions with her. She likes your posts on her WeChat moments, or photos you sent to each other. For example, she hugged your waist, kissed your face, or whatever you said to her. She'll report it to me in full detail. Xiao Xiao suddenly felt guilty. Yenran, don't listen to her nonsense. I was just acting. Didn't I have to calm her down for the time being? If she gets angry, I'm afraid she'll do something to you. Qiao Xiao continued to explain anxiously, I told her that I'm against intimacy before marriage. I haven't kissed her yet and she's only hugged me at most. Then let me ask you, what's with biting his Adam's apple? Qiao Zhao's eyes darted around. What was wrong with this Yi Xuanfei? He cursed Yi Xuanfei 1,000,000 times in his heart before he decided to play dumb. Yanran, look, my Adam's apple is here. Biting his Adam's apple means using your little mouth to bite him. Yi Xuanfei was speechless when she heard Yi Xuanfei's words. Yanran, look. My Adam's apple is here. Yanran's index finger brushed Qiao Zhao's Adam's apple. Her eyes narrowed slightly and the warning look in her eyes made Qiao Zhao's heart tremble. You mean Yi Xuanfei used her little mouth to bite here? Qiao Xiao didn't bother to explain. He wrapped his arm around Yanran's waist and bit her index finger. He muttered, Yanran, don't you believe me? Then, he simply covered Yanran's mouth so that she couldn't say anything. The night was long, and the romantic scene continued. Brother Qiao, where do you think we should go for dinner? The moment Yi Xuanfei saw Qiao Zhao's handsome figure appear downstairs, she fluttered down like a butterfly and held onto Qiao Zhao's arm, wanting to cling onto him. Qiao Xiao didn't refuse. His ultimate goal today was to obtain the 3D data of Yi Xuanfei's face. He had to make her happy. The script had been written, and now it was up to Qiao Xiao to act it out. Xuanfei, what do you think of my glasses today? Is it cool? I just wanted to ask you why you're wearing a pair of plain glasses. Look, you've hidden your sexy glasses under the lens. What a pity. I just want to have dinner with you today. I don't want anyone to recognize me. Yi Xuanfei's heart was filled with sweetness. Brother Qiao, you seem a little different today. What's the difference? I was tired yesterday, but I'm in a good mood today. Just like that, the two of them chatted and laughed like an intimate couple. They arrived at a private room in a 5-star hotel. The environment was very quiet and the space was very private. Yi Xuanfei was very satisfied. But what she didn't expect was that Yanran had already hidden in the room next door, receiving real-time images from the miniature camera hidden in Qiao Zhao's eyes. After the dishes were served, the waiter left. Only Qiao Xiao and Yi Xuanfei were left in the private room. Yi Xuanfei immediately sat in Qiao Zhao's arms and wrapped her arms around his neck. She said coyly, Brother Qiao, I realize that you're very handsome today. Qiao Xiao had specially dressed up today. In order to seduce Yi Xuanfei, he had specially worn a V-neck shirt. The sharp corners of the collar were slightly lower, vaguely revealing his collarbone and a small part of his chest. He looked alluring and sexy. Qiao Xiao had specially applied lip gloss. His thin lips were glossy and lustrous, like two pieces of jelly that were tempting to commit a crime. At this moment, Yi Xuanfei's fingers were caressing these two pieces of jelly. Her eyes were in a daze. I want to eat them. Qiao Xiao took the opportunity to cup her face and let her face his glasses. Yi Xuanfei's head was slightly raised and her entire face was exposed to the camera. Qiao Xiao said to her seductively, Xuanfei, you're so beautiful today. You're especially sexy. Come, blink your eyes. Yi Xuanfei obediently blinked her eyes with fake eyelashes. Come, open your mouth. Yi Xuanfei obediently opened her mouth again, then stuck out her small tongue and licked the corner of her mouth. Come, shake your head. Brother Qiao, what are you doing? Why are you making me do this? I want to take a closer look at you. I want to engrave your beauty deeply in my mind. Qiao Zhao's intoxicating words made Yi Xuanfei dizzy instantly. She immediately wanted to kiss Qiao Zhao's lips. Qiao Xiao tilted his head. Don't move, I haven't seen it clearly yet. Let me take a closer look. Qiao Zhao's intoxicating eyes stared at Yi Xuanfei affectionately, making Yi Xuanfei's heart beat like a drum. Qiao Xiao was really alluring tonight. His affectionate gaze made Yi Xuanfei's entire body soak in sugar. Until Qiao Zhao's phone vibrated in his pocket, he knew that Yanran had settled it. He heaved a sigh of relief, took off his glasses and carried Yi Xuanfei. Under Yi Xuanfei's excited and confused gaze, he placed her on the chair beside him. Come, Xuanfei, let's eat. Yi Xuanfei was stunned. The script wasn't developing in the way she had expected. This brother Qiao was always making her heart skip a beat. But today, Qiao Xiao was still rather gentle. The topic always revolved around the Eastern aristocratic families. Xuanfei, I feel that the Eastern aristocratic families are really powerful. But I remember that someone told me not to walk around at night when I was at your house last time. What's the reason for that? Brother Qiao, if you really want to know, then give me a kiss. Qiao Xiao had no choice but to peck the corner of her lips lightly. At the same time, he picked up a mouthful of food and fed it to her. Yi Xuanfei blinked her eyes in satisfaction. The Eastern aristocratic families are famous for their arrays. Naturally, we have arrays in our house. The entire house is a circulation array. It activates automatically at night and only disappears at 7 in the morning. It's not just the circulation array. We set up small arrays in each building, such as the alchemy laboratory and the library. These arrays are all reverse arrays. They're superimposed on the circulation array. If you're not careful, you'll never be able to get out. Then what if the other members of the Eastern aristocratic families accidentally enter these arrays? If it's just a circulation array, then they'll be able to get out the next morning. If they enter those reverse arrays, then they can only blame themselves for being unlucky. They really can't get out after entering the reverse arrays? Then they'll just die like that? The reverse arrays bring them to another space. No one can save them, so no one will walk around at night. Brother Qiao, we have a lot of people in our house and there are a lot of rules. If you don't like it, we don't have to live here in the future. Where do you like? We can buy a house in advance, okay? Yi Xuanfei became more and more excited. Qiao Xiao quickly pulled her back. Didn't you barge into these arrays when you were young? There was one time when I was young. I cultivated a little late at night. Out of curiosity, I sneaked into the library and triggered a mechanism. In the end, I was brought to another space. There was a woman inside who wanted to feed me pills. I almost fell for it. After I got out, Grandfather told me that the woman wanted to feed me spiritual transformation pills. Didn't you say that you can't get out once you enter? How did you get out? Because I have the family heirloom, Little Star. If it wasn't for this treasure, Grandfather said that I wouldn't be able to get out. As the two of them chatted, Qiao Xiao asked all the questions he wanted to know. There were no more valuable questions. Most of them were things he had already experienced before, so he was too lazy to answer them perfunctorily. Xuanfei, I'm full. I'll send you back. Yi Xuanfei couldn't bear to let Qiao Xiao leave. Brother Qiao, why don't we stay in this hotel tonight? I swear. Yi Xuanfei quickly raised her right hand. I won't ask for too much from you. I just want to chat with you and keep me company, okay? Qiao Xiao felt a headache coming on. Be good. Go back early. I'm not used to sleeping outside. I'll find you for dinner in 2 days. Yi Xuanfei wrapped herself around Qiao Xiao like a snake. Brother Qiao, just one night. Keep me company. Her voice was as sweet as honey. Qiao Xiao directly pressed her against the wall and whispered in her ear in a seductive voice, I'll be all yours on our wedding night. What's the hurry? After saying that, he licked her ear and strode out of the room. After Qiao Xiao and Yan Ran returned home, they saved Yi Xuanfei's facial recognition data overnight. After that, Yan Ran looked at Qiao Xiao with a strange expression. It's been hard on you. This is the first time I've seen the two of you together. It's really, very erotic. Qiao Xiao blushed. Yan Ran, just take it that I'm acting. This Yi Xuanfei is always like this. She's always lusting after my body. After a while, Qiao Xiao said again, Say, this relationship is really strange. If you don't like someone, you don't like them. If you like someone, you can't help it. She lusts after me, but I especially lusts after you. But, Aran. Qiao Xiao leaned in and whispered, Are you lusting after my body too? Yenron's eyes darted around. We still need to confirm the data just now. Take a look at it again. I'm going to print it out. Aran, don't change the topic. Touch your heart and answer properly. You haven't practiced alchemy in a long time. Let's do it again from the beginning to the end later. Aran, you're wrong. You have to face the undercurrents in your heart. Don't be so busy with these things. Tell me properly. I think I heard Uncle Wu calling you. He's downstairs. Go quickly. I only heard you calling me. It was very lingering. Xiao Xiao carried Yenran and walked towards the bedroom. I think you can only be honest in a special place. Let's go and have a good discussion. The end result of the discussion was that Xiao Xiao forced her to say more than 100 words. Then, Xiao Xiao logically said, Yenran, I didn't know that you were so greedy. If I don't satisfy you, then it's my fault. Yenran, why are you still saying that you're greedy? Haven't I worked hard enough? Looks like I have to work harder. Aran, you can't be greedy anymore. Your Xiao is going to die. However, they finally decided on a time to go to the Eastern aristocratic family. It was said on the day they lured old Master Yi out of Huanghai. Chapter 238. Elder Yi had been under a lot of pressure lately. His already high hairline seemed to have receded a bit. He used to be a hale and hearty old man, but now he looked like a doddering old man. Even his back was hunched. However, his temperament had not changed at all. Looking at the report that Ming Tian had given him, he felt as if there was a fire burning from his chest to the top of his head, almost burning off all his hair. He could not wait to clench the report into a ball, throw it to the corner of the wall, and then rush over to trample on it. Is this real or fake? Elder Ye's hands trembled as he held the report. Ming Tian lowered his head and said in pain, It's real. It's been confirmed. This document contained a list of government officials. It clearly listed the time and amount of money that the Zhouqian group had bribed them. This was a complete black book. Old Mr. Yi angrily slapped Ming Tian to the wall. Ming Tian slid down the wall like a pile of mud and landed in the corner. Who the hell is the one who set up this black book? It wasn't me. No one writes black books. I don't know where this report came from. Someone must be targeting us. Do you know where I got this report? Elder Yi gritted his teeth and said, It was personally handed to me by my superiors. The worst thing is that many of the government officials have already been arrested. I'm afraid they won't be able to handle it. Elder Yi, that's too scary. If they find out who we are, a lot of places won't be able to withstand the investigation. Ming Tian supported himself against the wall and stood up shakily. He ran in front of Elder Yi and sat down on the floor. Elder Ye's body also swayed. We can't be so unlucky. How can so many people related to us be investigated at the same time? There must be a conspiracy. Who is behind this? I've been investigating and sent out a lot of people, but the clues are too scattered. None of them can be gathered. It's like a spider's web, covering us all. Ming Tian was already out of breath. Elder Yi, the only way is to find a few key people and have them help us suppress these cases. Can they suppress it? Elder Ye's face was gloomy as he paced back and forth in the room. We've given them a lot of benefits before. If it doesn't work out, we'll use some extreme methods. I don't believe that these humans can block the path of us cultivators. Ming Tian's eyes were already somewhat frenzied, as though he was mentally deranged. If Zhou Tian collapsed, then all the wealth he had accumulated over the years would be like dog shit, worthless. It seems that I have to deal with this matter personally. There are a few key points. I have marked out these people just now. Let's find a way to persuade them to help. If it doesn't work, then we can only... Elder Yi made a gesture of twisting his neck, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. Those who achieve great things don't care about trifles. But Ming Tian, you have to be careful. We have to try our best to get him to stand on our side. If he doesn't want to, then we have to create the illusion that he died of natural causes. Elder Yi of the Eastern aristocratic family had already felt the crisis. It was like an invisible hand was gradually clamping down on his throat, making him feel like he couldn't breathe. He originally thought that his Zhou Tian family had always been an independent existence in this world. With the protection of their superiors and the strength of their cultivators, everything would be very smooth. But he didn't expect that the small officials in every small business would cause a butterfly effect. It had already shaken the elephant that was the Zhou Tian family. The foundation was unstable, and the Zhou Tian family's building had already begun to shake. Elder Yi was still making a final struggle. He wanted to set up a barrier around the building to isolate all the weapons that were unfavorable to them from the outside world. Right now, there were two key people. One was the vice president of a certain court, and the other was the vice minister of a certain government department. These two people were investigating the Zhou Tian family's cases. These two people hadn't met yet. What Elder Yi wanted to do was to cut off these two people. The evidence in these two people's hands was very important. If they were separated, they wouldn't be able to find anything. But if the two cases were to be tried together, then all the spearheads would be pointed at the Zhou Tian family. This would attract the attention of the higher-ups of the country. At that time, the Zhou Tian family would be in big trouble. Elder Yi knew this very well. The gun would shoot the bird that sticks out. If their true strength was put on the surface, then it would definitely attract the attention of the higher-ups. Who could sleep soundly if there was a tiger that could jump up at any time next to your pillow? And all of this was the picture that Yen Ran had spent so much time sorting out. When Yen Ran figured everything out, she knew that the opportunity had come. The world of cultivators was only an organization that was allowed to exist. But if this organization was about to control a certain lifeline of the country, then you wouldn't be far from death. So Yen Ran, this beautiful butterfly, led the other small butterflies to write a lot of report letters in various supervisory departments, and handed them up layer by layer. A small person couldn't cause any big trouble, but don't underestimate the intelligence of human beings. There were two key people, and gradually, they became interested in some of the cases. And when they also drew half of the picture like Yen Ran, they were shocked beyond words. These two people were the two key people that Elder Yi paid attention to. Book a plane ticket for me. Tomorrow morning, I will personally meet these two people. Elder Yi looked at Ming Tian, who was sitting on the ground, and said sternly, "Get up. What are you doing? Things haven't reached the worst point yet. What are you afraid of? You send a few good people to figure out the family background of these two people for me, as well as their usual habits. Then find a way to go to the hospital and write 2 cases of depression for them. These days, the pressure of work is too great. It's normal to have depression." Elder Yi finished speaking and strode out. The next morning, Elder Yi left the old mansion and boarded the plane to Bay City. "Xiao Xiao, the time we have been waiting for has come." Elder Yi left Huanghai City on a plane early this morning. Yen Ran immediately sent a message to Xiao Xiao as soon as she received the news. Xiao Xiao was in class. Professor He was talking about face recognition technology on the podium, and Xiao Xiao listened with great interest. He thought about the face of Yi Xuanfei that they had made. It was exactly the same as what Professor He had said. Xiao Xiao couldn't help but feel proud. Yen Ran and he were a perfect match. They didn't have to work hard, and after thinking about it, they actually came up with face recognition technology. Life with Yen Ran was really full of joy. Every day, there were endless adventures, endless imagination, and endless sense of accomplishment. How could he not be hell-bent on this? This also constantly promoted Xiao Xiao's improvement. Even if Yen Ran didn't have spiritual power, his brain still couldn't compare to Yen Ran's. Xiao Xiao often felt a little inferior. He wasn't good enough for Yen Ran. Other than the devil aura that he still had to show off, Yen Ran was really in charge of everything else. Yen Ran's excellence made him feel a sense of danger. He also had to become more outstanding so that he could be on equal footing with Yen Ran. They could stand on the same starting line and run together on the bright road. Therefore, during this period of time, Xiao Xiao returned to his previous state of studying seriously. He cherished his university life and everything that he was doing now. He had to thank Zhang Deong for helping him set up the framework that he should do. Now, what he needed to do was to run it well. Yi Xuanfei still kept harassing him, but every time Qiao Xiao said to Yi Xuanfei, "You're so outstanding. If I don't work hard, how can I be good enough for you?" He sent her away with a few words. He often read books in the library until late at night. Yi Xuanfei admired Qiao Xiao even more when she saw how motivated he was. She also wanted to accompany Qiao Xiao to read books, but she was always blocked by Qiao Xiao's words, "Don't disturb me." She couldn't do anything about it. After all, men prioritized their careers. Zhang Deong was overjoyed because Qiao Xiao told him that he must make a name for himself in the entertainment industry. This made Zhang Deong cry tears of joy. It turned out that this nominal chairman was always lazy and refused many endorsements. Now, he was finally willing to open for business. Zhang Deong could foresee that his mine was not far away. "Are you leaving today?" Qiao Xiao replied on WeChat. "The flight is in the afternoon. We'll arrive at night. If things go well, we can come back tomorrow." "Mr. Yi, we've brought him." Two Zixuan experts brought a middle-aged man into a hidden private room. The private room was located in a manor in the suburbs of Bay City. This was also one of the assets of Jiutian Group. It was also a fixed stop for Mr. Yi every time he came to Bay City. "Who are you? Why did you bring me here? How dare you do such a thing in broad daylight?" The middle-aged man didn't panic. He just angrily scolded Mr. Yi, who was sitting across from him. This middle-aged man was the key person that Mr. Yi mentioned, the deputy director of a certain court. Mr. Yi didn't panic. He smiled faintly and poured a cup of tea for the middle-aged man. "Don't worry. There's plenty of time. Drink some tea to moisten your throat." At this time, he looked at the calm and composed Mr. Yi. He secretly guessed that there was only one case that he was handling recently that was important. Could it be that this person came for this case? Years of experience in handling cases gave him an inexplicable premonition of danger. Although the old man sitting across from him was as calm as water, he could clearly feel an overwhelming pressure coming at him. His eyes darkened. This old man's pressure was too strong. Whether he could go back alive was a question mark. He pretended to be calm and leaned back on the sofa. He took out his phone and didn't pay attention to Mr. Yi. He calmly browsed through the news. Under his news interface, he quickly sent a document and gave a secret number. Just as he was about to open the third news link, a hand suddenly reached out from the side and snatched his phone away. "What are you doing?" Mr. Yi smiled. "Director Ma, I'm sorry. When I'm talking to someone, I want them to concentrate. Moreover, we need to keep our conversation confidential. The phone's recording function can't be used. The phone will be returned to you in a while. It's on the table next to you. You can see it." Chapter 239. Dean Ma immediately jumped up like a little beast that was scalded by fire. "You are restricting my freedom of life." "Dean Ma, don't be so agitated. I just invited you over for tea and wanted to talk to you about something." "Humph. Say it, which case?" Yi Lao's eyes lit up. Dean Ma is really a straightforward person. "First, let me introduce myself. My surname is Yi, and I'm the chairman of Jiutian Group." It really was the case he was working on. Dean Ma remained calm and collected. "What advice does Chairman Yi have?" "I don't dare to give advice. I just want to ask if it's possible to postpone the case you're working on." Dean Ma's heart thumped. Postponing the case meant an indefinite extension, giving the criminals time to transfer their assets. Originally, he felt that there were some parts of the case that were confusing, but now it seemed that it was true. "Chairman Yi, the court has its own procedures. We don't have any way to hinder the progress of the case. This isn't something I can control. There are always people who think of ways. Dean Ma, as long as you don't sign, this case can't be reported." After speaking, Yi Lao handed him a document. "This is a little bit of Jiutian Entertainment shares. It's a little token of my appreciation. Chairman Yi is really generous. This little bit of Zhoutian Entertainment shares should be worth tens of millions. Dean Ma raised his eyelids and asked coldly. Yi Lao smiled sinisterly. Dean Ma, you're underestimating me. How can I take out tens of millions? This is at least hundreds of millions. Your child is studying abroad, right? If you think the shares are troublesome, I can directly transfer it to an overseas account. Dean Ma's forehead was covered in cold sweat. It seemed that this person came prepared and investigated many things thoroughly. If he didn't comply, he didn't know what the consequences would be. Chairman Yi, this isn't something I can decide. I'm in a difficult position. Yi Lao pushed the teacup in his hand forward. He only used his hand to lightly touch it, and the entire cup immediately turned into powder. The tea spilled all over the table. Dean Ma stood up in shock and looked at Yi Lao in disbelief. Yi Lao laughed. This is just a small token. It's just an eye-opener for Dean Ma. There are many people in this world that you can't afford to offend. If you want to save the lives of your family, I hope you don't sign this. A monstrous wave was set off in Dean Ma's heart. A sense of fear gripped his heart. However, the education he received since childhood and so many years of experience in handling cases let him know that he could not bow to the evil forces. Otherwise, he would only become their puppet. Dean Ma's thoughts raced. What he needed to do now was to escape as soon as possible. Judging from Chairman Ye's reaction, this case had a huge impact on him. Originally, Zhoutian Entertainment was not within his scope of concern, but now it seemed that they were an important part of Zhoutian Corporation. Although today's trip was dangerous, they had also obtained important clues. Chairman Yi, your request is too sudden. Can I go back and think about it? I'll give you an answer in 3 days. No. 3 days is too long. I'll give you 2 hours to think it over. Bring Dean Ma to the next room and let him think it over. The private room next door was empty. After Dean Ma was brought in, he was immediately pushed against the wall. A large hand quickly tightened around his neck like an iron hoop. Dean Ma looked in horror at the man who was violently attacking him. The man looked at him with a fierce and contemptuous gaze as if he was looking at an ant. Dean Ma, Yi Lao said to let you experience the taste of death in advance. It will help you think. The hand around his neck was like a red-hot iron brand, making it difficult for Dean Ma to breathe. His face was red and he desperately tried to pull the iron hand away. However, his strength was too weak. The man in front of him was not tall, but for some reason, he was like a mountain in front of him. He was unable to move at all. Gradually, he was about to lose consciousness. His whole body seemed to be embedded into the wall. His eyes and tongue were desperately staring out. Even his ears were unconsciously flapping. He desperately wanted to inhale more air into his body. However, it was all in vain. His feet were already in the air. He was like a suspended puppet, weakly kicking. Just at the moment when he thought his life was coming to an end, the only thing he could think of was that the materials should have been sent out. His life was gradually draining away. However, at the last moment, the iron hand finally left his neck. Due to the lack of oxygen in his brain, he quickly fell to the ground like a pile of mud and piled up in the corner of the wall. At this moment, he faintly heard the person opposite him say that he seemed to have used too much strength. Then, his face was constantly patted, pulling him back from the edge of unconsciousness. Then, he heard the person's cold voice. Wake up. Think about it carefully. You don't have much time. Only 2 hours. He saw that his lower body was wet. He knew that he had already lost control of his body. The smell of urine filled the entire room. However, he could no longer think. He only knew how to desperately gasp for breath. When will the other person arrive? That person is a bit troublesome. He is currently sealed at the worksite. We can't bring him out. Elder Yi picked up the teacup and lightly sipped a mouthful. He casually said, This matter is long and troublesome. This person can't be left alive. Think of a way to get rid of him. Mom, the way those two brothers and sister walk is so beautiful." A tender child's voice sounded at the airport exit. "They are probably two celebrities. Nan, don't run with them." A mother hurriedly went forward and pulled her daughter. "Mom, that brother must be very handsome." Nan blinked her cute big eyes and looked at her mother. "How old are you? You already know about beauty and ugliness. They are already far away. Don't look anymore. Mom will take you to eat." The little girl was dragged away by her mother. This was Huanghai City's airport. Qiao Xiao and Yanran were fully armed. Sunglasses and masks covered their entire body. However, the model figure of the two walking was still very eye-catching. "Now you won't even let a little girl go?" Yanran ridiculed. "How is that possible? I have never looked sideways. My eyes will always be focused on you." Qiao Xiao hugged Yanran's waist. "Aran, I find that you care about me more and more. You are even jealous of a little girl. Don't be so proud. Behave yourself outside. Don't attract other people's attention." Yanran slapped away his hand that was moving up and down. "Yanran, I protest. You make it sound like I am a thief." "You are a thief. A thief who steals fish." Yanran's eyes under the sunglasses glanced at him. The corner of her eyes hooked. It was naturally charming. "Yanran, I am stealing your heart, not your fish. I am warning you. Don't mess around today. We have important things to do tonight. When we arrive at the hotel, we will get 2 rooms and cultivate separately. Yanran, I have already cancelled the 2 rooms you booked. I booked a big suite. It also has 2 rooms and we can cultivate separately. However, there is only 1 shower. I looked at the introduction and there is a huge bathtub. It will probably be very cool. Is there nothing else in your head other than this?" "Yanran, you have wronged me. I have been studying seriously during this period of time. I still have a movie to shoot in a while. My lonely heart can't be relieved. I just want to take a bath." The intense mission they were going to carry out tonight was turned into a vacation by Qiao Xiao. Yanran was speechless. "Anyway, we have already agreed. If you want to take a bath, you can take it yourself. Don't drag me in." Qiao Xiao touched his nose. "What's the point of taking a bath alone? Such a big bathtub will take at least 2 people to turn it over." Unexpectedly, Yanran entered the room and locked the door. At the same time, she kissed Qiao Xiao on the cheek. "Ah Xiao, be good. You have to adjust yourself to the best state. Then, you have to practice your alchemy techniques and strength. Try to succeed in one try tonight." Qiao Xiao looked at the huge, spotless bathtub. It had a complete set of functions. It had automatic cleaning and disinfection, intelligent water entering at a fixed time, fixed the temperature of the water, fitness treatment, and stress relief. There was a whirlpool in the water, and the high-pressure water would circulate around the body. There were small holes at the bottom and the 4 walls, which were used to spray water. The high-pressure water through the 4 walls could stimulate the body's acupoints and make the person relax. The nozzle at the bottom could massage the back. The combination of the 2 could perfectly relieve the pressure. Qiao Xiao shouted at the door of Yanran's room. "Yanran, I think you are under too much pressure. The best way is to take a bath to relieve yourself. The greater the pressure, the greater the motivation. Hurry up and cultivate." Qiao Xiao looked at the attractive bathtub. He could only let it admire itself first. When it was done, humph. Yanran quickly worked in the room. She turned on the computer and continued her intense and complicated work. Her work network had been established. There was a group of like-minded people like her who were busy with the business of the cultivation world. Now, their organization was like a group of underground workers. Every day, Yanran received countless messages. She needed to peel these complicated messages, classify them, summarize them, and find out what was useful to her. At this time, Yanran was like a female general who was strategizing. She issued orders one by one. All the members of the organization were her soldiers. She decided on the strategy, and the tactics were carried out by her subordinates. If there was a deviation, she would adjust in time to ensure that everything was carried out according to her plan. Therefore, she was very busy every day. She was so busy that she had not been intimate with Xiao Xiao for a long time. She knew what Xiao Xiao was thinking, but tonight's matter was very dangerous. The probability of success was unknown. Yanran had to arrange everything. If she and Xiao Xiao were trapped in another space, she needed someone to continue her business. She told Little Six what the backup plan was. Everything was just in case. Chapter 240. It was late at night. Darkness was a natural night suit. Even the moonlight was pulled up by the clouds and hidden in the thick fog. Occasionally, a little starlight peeked out and quickly retreated, leaving the long night to the two people who were about to perform on stage. In the woods 1 kilometer away from the Eastern family's ancestral home, two slender figures had been waiting for a long time. Yanran, are you tired? Lean on me for a while. It's okay, I'm not tired. We'll go in at 1 o'clock sharp. This should be the time when people are sleeping the most. Yanran was like this. She planned everything very carefully. At this time, Xiao Xiao was carrying a bag on his back, which contained the book about the panacea, the cauldron for refining the elixir, and Yi Xuanfei's 3D printed head cover. Yanran, I'll take you in later. It's very big inside, so we have to walk a long way. Yes, I know. I've seen the map you drew. According to your speed, it might take 15 minutes. Later, try to walk along the wall. If there's a dog inside, quickly put it down. I've already sensed it with the totem. The array in the eastern area is relatively weak. We'll go in from there. Xiao Xiao thought for a while. The eastern area seemed to be a pond. Yanran said, "That's a pond. There should be lotus leaves in this season. Be careful not to touch them. I can't guarantee that there won't be an alarm mechanism." Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming praised in the bracelet. Yanran has done her homework. Xiao Xiao has found a treasure. With such a woman as his future crown princess, it's more than enough for him to manage the demon world. When Xiao Xiao heard Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming's praises, he felt proud in his heart. His taste was indeed good. She can go to the hall, cook in the kitchen, and enter the bedroom. She is simply a treasure in the world. What about me? You guys praise me too. Kong Ming kept his mouth shut. Kong Xiaoming shook his head and said, "If you can drive a good car, you can afford to kneel on the motherboard, and you can afford to pay for the prescription, you can strive to be the big bad wolf in the human world." Xiao Xiao, who was carrying Yanran, suddenly stopped in his tracks and almost fell from the sky. He laughed and scolded in his mind, "Kong Xiaoming, have you been watching all the Ciyenyu lately?" However, although the words are crude, it seems quite similar. At this moment, Yanran reminded him in a low voice, "Fly steadily, don't fall." After saying that, she tightened her arms around Xiao Xiao's waist. Her cute little head was pressed against Xiao Xiao's chest, and the fragrance of lavender surrounded Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao took in a deep breath of the alluring fragrance, steadied his mind, and quickly flew forward. "Elder Yi, the 2 hours are up. Dean Ma wants to see you." A subordinate came to report. "Bring him up." Elder Yi was leisurely drinking tea. He smiled slightly. Under the coercion, he didn't have any greed. A fishy smell entered the room. Elder Yi wrinkled his nose. "Why didn't you clean it up first before bringing him up? No matter what, you still have to leave some dignity for Dean Ma." The subordinate immediately replied, "Yes." After a while, Dean Ma was brought up again. This time, Dean Ma's spirit had recovered by more than half. However, his whole face was gloomy as if he had a serious illness. The bruise on his neck was very obvious. From afar, it looked like he had just hanged himself. "Do you keep your words? I want to immediately transfer the money to my son's account, and I want you to promise that you will guarantee the safety of my family, and—" Dean Ma struggled to speak. It wasn't easy for him to finish the first 2 sentences, but he was interrupted by Elder Yi. "Dean Ma, now is not the time for you to talk about conditions. I have already given you enough in return. Please stop before going too far. You also know our methods. After experiencing it once, I don't think you want to experience it a second time." After saying that, the topic changed. Elder Yi smiled and walked over. He used his hand to touch Dean Ma's neck. The bruise immediately disappeared. "Dean Ma, I think you are a smart person. As the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. I welcome you to join our camp." Dean Ma finally got his freedom. He took back his phone and returned home. He immediately fell ill. On the surface, there were no traces, but his body was very uncomfortable. He didn't know what was stirring up his internal organs. His whole brain was about to explode. His son made an overseas call. "Dad, I suddenly have a lot of money in my account. What is going on?" Dean Ma immediately warned his son, "Son, this money is dirty money of unknown origin. Someone wants to harm us. That's why it was transferred to your account. You must not use it. This is the evidence of a criminal." His son asked in fear, "Dad, what happened? Are you all right?" Dean Ma said to his son, "Son, you must remember that you are my son. You are China's citizen. No matter what happens at home, you must remember that evil will not prevail over good. Be careful, don't go out, and protect yourself." At this time, Dean Ma had made up his mind. He organized all the information related to the case and sent the latest evidence he knew, as well as the screenshots of his son's bank account, to a secret account. Then he wrote a suicide note. "I didn't expect that monstrous evil would be hidden in the stable and peaceful world. This is a helpless choice, and also a fight to the death. I believe that evil will not prevail over good. If I die, I hope that my unfulfilled wish will be fulfilled by the comrades who come after me. A man of character will either succeed or die for a righteous cause." Dean Ma was determined to die. Taking the opportunity of working with other colleagues, he sneaked into a guest house, where there happened to be a case scene. He was looking for an old friend of his, Deputy Minister Chan of the Ministry of Supervision, who was working there. What Dean Ma didn't expect was that Deputy Minister Chan was also another key person that ESNR was looking for. Things were so coincidental, just like the rotating gears in a watch. When Deputy Minister Chan saw Dean Ma, he was shocked. His old friend had always been righteous, high-spirited, professional, and meticulous in handling cases. He was a friend that Deputy Minister Chan admired very much. However, at this time, his face was ashen, as if the end of the world was coming. The first thing Dean Ma said to Deputy Minister Chan was, "My suicide note has been written. I want to give it to you. If something happens to me, you can make it public." Deputy Minister Chan was shocked. "Old Ma, what happened to you? Is it that serious? Could it be that you've made a serious mistake? Are you here to turn yourself in?" After a series of questions, Dean Ma was in tears. "Old Chen, when did I want to come to this point? I offended people that I can't fight, but I'm not satisfied. I came to you today to tell you the evil deeds of the criminals in person." Thus, Department Head Ma tearfully told Vice Department Head Chan about his own experience and all the crimes he had discovered in the Zhoutian branch. Deputy Minister Chen was shocked. He remembered that he had a similar case on his hands. He and Dean Ma checked the case, and Deputy Minister Chen also felt a sense of crisis. He quickly saved the relevant evidence in his hands and sent a copy to a secret account. "Old Ma, I guess I'll have the same fate as you. They found you, so they'll definitely find me. I admire your decision, and I'm the same as you. I'd rather die than lower my head to them." His powerful words made Dean Ma's eyes tear up. "Good brother, I knew that I wouldn't be wrong to come looking for you." While they were talking, there was a knock on the door. Deputy Minister Chan asked warily, "Who is it?" The person outside replied, "Room service." Deputy Minister Chan immediately said to Dean Ma, "Hide, and don't come out if you hear anything. We have rules here. You sneaked in, and no one is allowed to come in." Dean Ma hurriedly hid in a closet. Deputy Minister Chen opened the door and saw a strange face in the guest house's waiter uniform. "What can I do for you?" The stranger replied, "I have an important document to give you. Let me in and we can talk." Deputy Minister Chen hesitated, but when he saw the document in the stranger's hand, he opened the door and let him in. But as soon as the door was closed, Deputy Minister Chen's neck was immediately grabbed. Dean Ma, who was in the closet, almost screamed. He quickly covered his mouth with his hand and stared at the scene outside. The person who came in was the same person who grabbed his neck last time. Was it the same old trick? Was he going to use the same trick on Deputy Minister Chen? Dean Ma thought for a moment, but fortunately, at least he wouldn't be killed. Dean Ma took out his mobile phone with trembling hands and recorded the scene outside. However, he didn't expect that after about 10 minutes, the man still hadn't let go of Deputy Minister Chen's hand, and Deputy Minister Chen just lost consciousness in front of him. Seeing that Dean Ma had succeeded, the man quickly wiped Deputy Minister Chen's neck. The neck, which was originally covered with bruises, instantly became smooth and white, and returned to its original state. There were no visible wounds on Deputy Minister Chen's body. Only his face was red and purple, and there were serious bruises. The man looked around the room vigilantly. At a glance, he saw no trace of another person in the room, so he opened the door and walked out. Dean Ma came out of the closet. His legs were weak. He rushed to check Deputy Minister Chen's breathing, but found no movement. He quickly opened the door and called for help. Soon, the sound of footsteps could be heard in the corridor. 4 or 5 people rushed into Deputy Minister Chen's room. Dean Ma was screaming at the top of his lungs to call an ambulance. But what Dean Ma didn't expect was that the violent man hadn't gone far. At this time, he was watching the scene coldly. In his eyes, Dean Ma was about to become a corpse. Chapter 241. Just as Vice Principal Ma was struggling on the line between life and death, Qiao Xiao and Yen Ran had already arrived outside the Dongfang family's main gate. The totem on Qiao Xiao's chest trembled with excitement. It trembled non-stop in front of Qiao Xiao's chest, and a faint golden light was already emitting from his clothes. Qiao Xiao brought Yen Ran to a dark place. He took out the totem from his chest and held it in his palm. A faint golden light enveloped the surrounding darkness. The totem seemed to have its own consciousness. When it encountered the Great Circulation Formation, it was as if it had met its match. It didn't need any extra movements from Qiao Xiao as it automatically began to revolve. The small golden sword was ready to attack. Under Qiao Xiao's command, it charged towards the Great Circulation Formation. Sure enough, there was no such thing as an unbreakable formation. The Great Circulation Formation was deeply torn open. Qiao Xiao and Yen Ran glanced at each other. Qiao Xiao's hand wrapped around Yen Ran's waist, and the two of them quickly flew inside. Just as they had imagined, the pond was just beyond the wall. Yen Ran warned in a low voice, "Qiao Xiao, by all means, don't touch the lotus leaf. I suspect that there might be other mechanisms on it." Everything Yen Ran said was right. Qiao Xiao cautiously flew above the lotus pond. Sure enough, there was a layer of fog floating above the lotus pond at night. Under the illumination of the moonlight, it actually emitted a multicolored light. Yen Ran, this might not be a mechanism, but a type of poisonous gas. Hurry up and hold your breath. Yen Ran wanted to cover her mouth and nose with her hand, but Qiao Xiao had already pressed Yen Ran's head against his neck, covering it tightly. Yen Ran made a sound and didn't move. Yen Ran's lips were stuck to Qiao Xiao's skin like this. Her warm and itchy breath blew on Qiao Xiao's neck. Her soft lips were even more tactile in the darkness. Qiao Xiao sighed comfortably. This kind of intimate state was really good. The two of them carefully crossed the lotus pond and slowly floated along the wall. The totem was helping them to open up a path, and they were moving forward in the meandering circular array. Qiao Xiao kept introducing the place to Yen Ran. The eastern part was where the various buildings were used. This was the ancestral home, this was the alchemy factory, and at the foot of the mountain ahead was the library. It was the first time for Yen Ran to see the whole picture of the Eastern aristocratic families. It was like a palace, with mountains, rivers, and style. Yen Ran's eyes deepened. How much money did they have? It was like a paradise, an independent regime. Money alone would not be enough to buy such a large piece of land. It could be seen that the Eastern aristocratic families were really powerful. Looking at the alchemy factory on the 4th floor, Yen Ran really wanted to blow it up. Although the pills produced here could improve a cultivator's cultivation, it would also slowly confuse their minds. This was the reason why the Eastern aristocratic families had so many experts. These people slowly only knew that they were loyal to the Eastern aristocratic families and went against their own hearts. This was a slow-acting poison. After walking for a long time, they finally arrived at the library. Yen Ran was surprised that the entire mountain cave was where the library was located. How big of a project was this? Yen Ran, it's here. There's a small array inside. You have to be careful. Hold on to me tightly, I'll take you in. Qiao Xiao exhorted at this time. Qiao Xiao took out the 3D printing of Yi Xuanfei's face and smoothly entered the door. Sure enough, it was the same as the last time he came. The entire space was filled with specks of golden light. He did not know where they came from. It was like dust, like mist, and more like some small golden creatures surrounding them. Qiao Xiao, where did you get the spiritual transformation pill from last time? From the shelf over there. The whole shelf is filled with books on alchemy. Put this book back and see if there are any changes. Qiao Xiao gently jumped up from the ground and put the spiritual transformation pill back to its original place. At this time, an unforeseen event happened. Qiao Xiao and Yen Ran were pulled into another space in an instant. The stars moved and the scenery in front of them changed into a green mountain and clear water. It was as if there was a filter. The colors were especially bright and the surroundings were filled with immortal qi. The two of them seemed to be in the Jade Lake Fairyland. This was not the scene that Qiao Xiao saw last time. Instead, it was a palace. And there was only a beautiful fairy in the palace, who was sleeping at this time. Qiao Xiao and Yen Ran looked at all of this warily. Yen Ran, this is the woman who refined the pill last time. Qiao Xiao and Yen Ran wanted to walk forward, but they found that their bodies were trapped and they could not move. Yen Ran said calmly, "Don't worry. Let's take a look first. Our goal is to be able to communicate with her." Just like that, Qiao Xiao and Yen Ran stood in place, waiting for the beautiful fairy to wake up. After an unknown period of time, a group of small animals ran into the palace and circled around the fairy's bed. A little squirrel boldly jumped onto the bed and gently touched the fairy's arm with its claws. Finally, the fairy was woken up. She was still lying lazily and looked at the naughty little squirrel beside her. She held it in her palm and touched its nose with hers. She smiled gently. "Are you hungry? You just ate in the morning. Why are you hungry again?" After saying that, she put the little squirrel on the ground and then sat up. Her long white muslin dress dragged behind her. It was not until she walked out of the palace that the last strand of muslin swung from the bed to the ground. She walked slowly and turned into another palace. This palace was like a pharmacy, and the shelves at the back were full of herbs. In the center of the room, there was a very large alchemy furnace. Yen Ran saw that it was not much smaller than Taishang Laojuan's alchemy furnace. The fairy stood by the fireside and gently stretched out her right hand. The little squirrel from earlier climbed up her dress and directly climbed onto her palm. The fairy lifted the little squirrel up and raised it in front of her eyes. Her voice slowly sounded. "Tell me, what do you want to eat? Is it still the spirit-transforming pill?" The little squirrel could really understand the fairy's words. It kept nodding and then jumped onto the little fairy's shoulder, wanting to kiss the fairy's face. The little fairy pushed it away and shook her finger at it. She gently said, "You can't kiss here. This is reserved for my husband." After saying that, she flipped her hands. The herbs on the shelf behind her seemed to have received a command and flew into the fairy's palm one by one. At this time, the fairy said, "Today, I have to practice more and feed you little brats so that you don't disturb my sleep every day." The little animals around her nodded their heads and looked at her with anticipation and adoration. Yenran and Xiao Xiao looked at this beautiful scene and couldn't bear to disturb it. The beautiful fairy's gentle words were like the whispers of a lover. Although she was only talking to little animals, her tranquility and elegance showed her nobility. "Since the two of you are here, please come in and have a seat." Xiao Xiao and Yenran clearly felt the layer of imprisonment in front of them disappear. The two of them walked forward and bowed to the fairy. Yenran went straight to the point and said, "Fairy, sorry to disturb you. We're here to ask for the antidote for the spirit-transforming pill." When the fairy heard Yenran's words, she was stunned. "I only know how to refine the spirit-transforming pill, but I've never refined the antidote for the spirit-transforming pill." "You found the wrong person." Yenran continued to explain. "We already know how to refine the antidote for the spirit-transforming pill, but we need your permission." Unexpectedly, the fairy laughed loudly after hearing this. She laughed and laughed until tears came out. "Why do you need my permission to refine the antidote for the spirit-transforming pill? I only know how to refine the spirit-transforming pill. If I could refine the antidote, why would my lover die?" At the end of her words, her laughter slowly turned into sobs. Yenron's mind moved. "Why? Why do you want to refine the spirit-transforming pill?" "Why do I need to refine the spirit-transforming pill?" "Because the spirit-transforming pill took my lover's life." The fairy's eyes were filled with monstrous anger. She stared fiercely at Yenran. "Are you here to sprinkle salt on my wound?" Yenran didn't mind her. Instead, she stared at her with clear eyes. "I'm also someone who suffered from the spirit-transforming pill. I hate this kind of poison. I hope to refine the antidote. If you agree, I will also avenge you." You'll avenge me? Why?" "Because I've already promised your lover that I will avenge him." The fairy was stunned for a moment, then she became excited. She quickly ran over and grabbed Yenron's arm. "What did you say? You know my lover?" "Yes, after your lover was poisoned by the spirit-transforming pill and was kicked off the immortal punishment platform, he was unwilling to die like this. In the end, he turned into an immortal punishment grass. Are you the fairy from the ninth heaven, the person he loved the most?" Yenran was betting. When she saw the fairy's appearance, she connected her with the immortal punishment grass. Of the two lovers who jumped off the immortal punishment platform, one turned into grass, and the other disappeared. The fairy from the ninth heaven was stunned at first, then her eyes turned slightly red. Gradually, big drops of tears fell down. "You know me. Who are you? You know our story, right?" Yenran held the fairy's cold hand and sighed. "I'm a victim like you. You're not here to refine the spirit-transforming pill, but to refine the antidote for the spirit-transforming pill, right?" The tears dripped onto Yenron's hand. Each drop was shockingly hot. The heroine of this sad story was right in front of Yenran. Yenran guessed right. "Do you know why you can't refine it?" The fairy from the ninth heaven widened her eyes and asked with tears in her eyes, "Why?" "Because your lover turned into an immortal punishment grass, which is the most important herb in the spirit-transforming pill. He sacrificed his life to the spirit-transforming pill to become the antidote, so that no one in this world would suffer from the spirit-transforming pill." The fairy's body shook, and tears fell like rain. "I knew he wouldn't betray me. He suffered from the spirit-transforming pill just like me. He swore to make this poisonous pill disappear from the world. He's worthy of being my most beloved lover. I searched for the immortal punishment grass in this void space. I found countless similar ones, but I couldn't refine them. The pills I refined were all fed to the small animals around me. Instead, they became more and more spiritual. I called my medicine the spirit-transforming pill. In fact, what I refined was really the antidote for the spirit-transforming pill." Chapter 242. Fairy, after such a long time, the outside world has already changed. You have also been brought to this space. The spiritual transformation pill still exists in this world, and it is currently in the hands of a group of bad people. I guess this group of bad people should be the descendants of the group that framed you. I was also framed by them and lost all of my spiritual power. I promise you, just like I promised your lover, I will definitely defeat them and avenge you. I will also make this poison, the spiritual transformation pill, disappear from this world. The ninth heaven fairy's tears flowed down. At this time, she was already speechless. Yenran reminded her of an infinitely sad thing. Yenran helped her sit down. She took out a pill and swallowed it. Her sad mood was slightly relieved. What is your name? My name is Yenran. He is Qiao Xiao. He also came from the demon world. The ninth heaven fairy raised her head and looked at Qiao Xiao. Her eyes flashed with amazement. He is the same as my lover. His appearance is comparable to the sun and moon. You have to cherish him. On the eve of the wedding, he was defiled by that group of evil women. It is an eternal pain in my heart. I think this is also the reason why I couldn't find him after I jumped off the immortal punishment platform. He must feel ashamed to face me and is too ashamed to see me. But when have I ever despised him? But I really regret missing out on the most beautiful moment of my life. The so-called dogma of the world is a kind of delay. According to the saying of the demon realm, it must be on the night of the big wedding to carry out the ritual, but the ninth heaven fairy was so sad that she couldn't continue. Qiao Xiao, please take out the immortal punishment grass and let the ninth heaven fairy take a look at her lover. Qiao Xiao turned his wrist and took out the immortal grass from the bracelet. The immortal grass was well preserved by Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming. The dewdrops on the grass were still there. The ninth heaven fairy held the immortal grass in her hands like a peerless treasure. Her hands were trembling so much that she almost couldn't hold it. Her lips couldn't stop trembling, and even her chin was trembling. She muttered the name of her lover, Invincible. Yenran hugged the ninth heaven fairy and let her lean on her shoulder. Qiao Xiao simply walked away, leaving a relatively closed space. After a while, Qiao Xiao heard the sound of crying coming from the room. Yenran is too smart. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming sighed in the bracelet. She actually guessed the woman's identity directly. There's hope for the antidote to your spirit-transforming pill. That's right, his Yenran had always been this smart. Qiao Xiao leaned against the door of the palace with his hands in his pockets. He looked at the small animals running around on the ground. He didn't expect the demon realm to have such a person. He must ask her when he goes back. After a long time, the crying gradually subsided. Yenran came out of the room. Her eyes were also a bit red. The immortal punishment grass is tired from crying. She fell asleep while hugging it. Looks like we'll have to stay here for 2 more days. Qiao Xiao hugged Yenran into his arms. Don't be sad. Our fate won't be like theirs. Yenran leaned into Qiao Xiao's arms, feeling a little down. She lowered her eyes and didn't want to speak. Qiao Xiao, Yenran seems to be in a bad mood. Is she under too much pressure? Kong Xiaoming asked in the bracelet. Of course. Yenran is shouldering the responsibility of the entire southern aristocratic family and the cultivation world. How can she not be under a lot of pressure? Kong Ming directly replied. Qiao Xiao rolled his eyes. Yenran, I think the ninth heaven immortal said something right. We don't have to follow the bullshit rules of the demon realm. We're wasting so much of our youth. As soon as Yenran heard this, she knew that he was thinking of some bad ideas. She glared at him and said, Is there nothing else in your head except for this? But Qiao Xiao's interruption made Yenran's heavy mood a bit better. Yenran, the scenery in this space is very good. While the ninth heaven immortal is sleeping, let's walk around. Yenran hadn't answered yet. The little animals that had been surrounding them nodded. Their originally sneaky little eyes actually showed a look of hospitality. Several little animals had already run forward quickly. After running for a while, they turned back and chirped at the two of them. Let's go, Yenran. They're going to take us to a good place. Under the guidance of the little animals, the two of them crossed half a mountain and finally came to a place where flowers were in full bloom. Wow, such a large area of lavender is so beautiful. Kong Xiaoming couldn't help but exclaim. A concave valley was now covered by a mountain of lavender flowers. When the breeze blew, the entire lavender field was like a deep purple wave that undulated up and down. Sprites stained with dew were growing vigorously. They were like flowers, yet not flowers, and like grass, yet not grass. The flower-shaped stems were squeezed with purple smoke, and cobalt-blue flower buds were exposed outside. The warm purple petals were like light wings, and they had a very soft texture with a hint of redness. It was an otherworldly beauty. There were countless tiny black dots printed on it, and each flower was a charming face. A unique fragrance wafted into his nose. There was a slight spicy smell of camphor in the mint, and an extremely light sweetness. The oil glands hidden in the leaves and flowers emitted a fragrance when touched by the breeze. This was the fragrance that Yanran liked the most. At this moment, her heavy heart was stretched out again in the fragrance of the flowers. Yanran, some people say that the lavender wraps the girl's persistent love soul. She always waits in the valley where we first met, waiting for the miracle of love. Now, my goddess, has she waited for the miracle of love? Qiao Xiao suddenly knelt down on one knee in front of Yanran. He took out an exquisite box out of nowhere and opened it to reveal a huge diamond ring that sparkled under the sunlight. Yanran, although I am the crown prince of the devil world, I have now found my goddess in the human world. I am willing to propose to you according to the rules of the human world. Thank you for letting me into your life. Perhaps I am not the most perfect man in this world, but I am definitely the man who loves you the most in this world, whether it is now, in the future, or forever. No matter how smooth the road ahead is, or how difficult it is, I will always be by your side. I will always protect you, never leave you, and accompany you for life. Yanran, will you marry me? Yanran was stunned. She looked at the boy who knelt down in front of her. His flawless face and deep eyes were full of tension, longing, and a trace of worry and uncertainty. Damn! Qiao Xiao, your heart is beating so fast. Why did you suddenly think of proposing? This is too sudden. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming widened their eyes and looked forward to it in disbelief. Qiao Xiao's palms and forehead were sweating. This was not his previous plan. When he saw the beauty of the lavender, he suddenly wanted to give Yanran a surprise, and also give himself a surprise. After saying that, he regretted it. How could he have prepared so poorly? There were no relatives or friends around. In this virtual space, would Yanran be unhappy? Would she think that he was too casual? The surrounding small animals looked at this scene curiously. They ran around Qiao Xiao and Yanran, as if they were shouting excitedly, "Say yes! Say yes!" Yanran did not speak for a long time. She only twitched the corners of her mouth stiffly. Qiao Xiao was really regretting it. Impulse was the devil. He should not have been impulsive. If it were him, he would never have agreed to such a simple proposal. He lowered his head and closed the ring. The disappointment in his eyes was covered in the blink of an eye. When he looked up again, a cynical smile was on his face again. Yanran, don't take it seriously. I was just joking. Suddenly, Yanran's face enlarged in front of his eyes. The fragrance of lavender came from afar. A pair of delicate peach lips pressed against Qiao Xiao's. Then, he heard Yanran say in a low voice, "I do." Then, Qiao Xiao became dizzy. Yanran's initiative caught him off guard. The huge ecstasy overturned him at once. All the sounds around him were automatically blocked by him. At this time, there was only one voice in his heart. Yanran said yes. Originally, he had envisioned many romantic scenes with him as the main character. He wanted to show his most perfect side to Yanran. But at this moment, he was pressed down in the middle of the flowers. His clothes were already stained with mud, and his hair was also covered with lavender petals. But Yanran still didn't care about anything and was still rubbing his hair into a chicken nest. He knew that he was smiling very foolishly, even like a mentally retarded child. But Yanran told him, this is the most real you. I like you like this. Qiao Zhao's mind was blank. The first kiss was led up and down by Yanran. He could not help but ask Yanran, "Is it true? Do you agree?" I promise you." "Oh, Yanran, my good Yanran." For the first time, Qiao Zhao felt that he was clumsy. He did not know what to say to express his feelings. He only knew how to hug Yanran and roll around in the lavender grass. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming looked at the lavender bushes that had been ruined by the two of them. "I really can't watch anymore. He's so excited just by agreeing to an engagement. He's simply a destructive maniac. If we directly get married, will he die on the spot from excitement?" Bah, what are you talking about? If we get married, I will take Yanran to heaven and earth." The two of them rolled for a long time before stopping. Qiao Zhao's mouth did not close. He looked at Yanran and smiled foolishly. At this time, a strange feeling came from his feet. It turned out that the clever little squirrel had picked up the diamond ring that he had lost in his excitement. Qiao Zhao sat up and took the diamond ring in a very good mood. He patted the little squirrel's little head and said, "Thank you. Yanran, let me help you put it on. I bought this with the money I earned. It was not given to me by Uncle Wu." Yanran put her slender fingers into Qiao Zhao's hand. "But I didn't prepare one for you. I will make it up to you when I get my first salary." Qiao Zhao admired the sparkling diamond ring on Yanran's slender fingers. His heart finally calmed down a little. The future crown prince consort was really confirmed. His worries about Yanran finally settled today. Qiao Zhao hugged Yanran and rocked back and forth. His mood was like a roller coaster. He was satisfied as if he had survived a disaster. "Yanran, I was impulsive just now. I originally wanted to give you a grand proposal ceremony. I don't know why, but when I saw this lavender grass, I felt that it should be your favorite place." Yanran looked at the boy who was satisfied with her. "Ah Xiao, you really understand me." All the warmth did not need to be expressed in words. In this strange space, this pair of lovers who had been through a lot finally recognized each other's hearts. Chapter 243. Vice Director Ma watched as Vice Director Chen was carried into the ambulance. He didn't follow because his legs were so weak that he couldn't support himself. He sat down on the ground and his whole body was drenched in sweat. He took out his phone and sent the video he just took to the secret account. This was his life-saving talisman, and also the only person who could control the supreme power. Minister Zhou looked at his mailbox. He had received secret letters one after another in the past 2 days. The contents of these letters made him more and more gloomy. One by one, they were very detailed. If all of this was made public, he and the Eastern aristocratic family would fall into an irreversible situation. Fortunately, this secret account was his own mailbox. This ridiculous Vice Principal Ma and Vice Minister Chen were still waiting for him to save them. However, Mr. Yi of the Eastern aristocratic family was becoming more and more careless. His background was about to be exposed. Minister Zhou picked up the phone. "Your every move is under surveillance. All the evidence is now in my computer. Do you want to see it?" Minister Zhou's cold words made Mr. Ye's heart skip a beat. "What do you mean?" A video was sent to Mr. Ye's phone. Zishuan's cultivators were strangling Vice Minister Chen. Mr. Ye's hand trembled. "Where did this video come from?" "Vice Principal Ma sent it to me. He still expects me to save him. This person can't be left alive. No evidence can be left behind. You were stupid enough to transfer money to his son's account. I think you have a lot of money. Remember to send this money to the casinos abroad. Also, destroy the video in your phone. If there is a record of it being sent, then track it down. Now." Minister Zhou's voice was stern. It was as if a bolt of lightning had struck Mr. Ye's head. "Yes, I'll do it right away." Mr. Yi was covered in cold sweat. He underestimated Vice Principal Ma and Vice Minister Chen's character. He thought it would be easy to capture them with threats and promises, but he didn't expect them to sell him out. Luckily, I killed that Chin guy. Now, this Ma guy can't blame me for being ruthless. Deputy Director Ma staggered back home. He lived on the 10th floor. It was broad daylight, and there was no one at home. He slumped on the sofa and thought about the whole incident with a pale face. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. Although he had already written his will, the death of Deputy Director Chan in front of him was indeed a big blow to him. His only hope now was that the secret account would take action. Could he delay until that day? He was about to go into the room and turn on the computer to see if there was a reply. As soon as he stood up from the sofa, he felt dizzy and fell back down. It seemed that he was really scared. He trembled and picked up the cold water on the coffee table, wanting to take a sip to calm down. However, his hands were trembling so much that he couldn't even hold the cold water bottle steadily. The water spilled out, and only a small portion of it was poured into the cup. He picked it up and took a sip, but he still couldn't calm down. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. It was like a sudden clap of thunder that exploded in his heart. He could even hear his own heart beating like a drum. He controlled himself not to make any sound to create the illusion that there was no one at home. He didn't even dare to look through the peephole to see who was knocking on the door. But after a while, he heard someone at the door call out, "Delivery man, is anyone home?" He remembered that his wife had helped him buy a few pairs of socks online 2 days ago. It should be a delivery man. He took a deep breath. At this moment, his phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was his wife. He swiped the answer button and heard his wife's voice. "The delivery man just called me and said that there was a package at home. Are you at home?" "Ah, yes, I'm at home." "All right, keep it then." His wife hung up the phone. Deputy Director Ma stood up, walked to the door, and looked through the peephole. It was indeed someone wearing a delivery man's uniform. He breathed a sigh of relief, opened the door, and took the package. He quickly closed the door and locked it. Leaning against the door, he closed his eyes and panted in fear. But when he opened his eyes, he found that the person who had strangled his neck was sitting on the sofa where he had been sitting. Deputy Director Ma cried out in horror, You, how did you get in?" The person laughed and said, "I can get in no matter what. You're dead." At this time, Vice Principal Ma suddenly burst out with infinite strength. He rushed into the bathroom next to the door and quickly locked the door. He quickly searched his whole body, trying to find his mobile phone. But at this time, he found that the phone was thrown on the sofa. His heart was beating wildly. His house had just been renovated not long ago. The door of the bathroom was made of solid wood, so it was quite sturdy. He prayed in his heart, hoping that the door could hold. But in less than 2 seconds, he heard a bang. He, who was leaning against the door, directly hit the opposite wall. The door was knocked open. Then he was grabbed by the neck and dragged directly from the bathroom to the living room. Vice Principal Ma struggled desperately and grabbed the murderer's arm, but it was useless. The hand was like an iron clamp that held him tightly. He was like a dead dog, his limbs swaying unconsciously. The person looked at him as if he was looking at a dead man. Vice President Ma was in a trance. He knew that he couldn't escape from this. However, he was still glad that he had sent the key evidence to that secret account. Even if he died, that secret account would bring these bad guys to justice one day. He had an unspeakable admiration and respect for this secret account. He had vaguely heard that it was a special unit that protected humans. As long as he persevered a little longer, they would come. But Deputy Director Ma didn't see them until he died. The murderer looked at his masterpiece and sneered. "You want to fight with the Eastern aristocratic family? With the strength of an ant?" Then he erased all the scars on Deputy Director Ma's body, carefully checked his house, and destroyed all the evidence on his computer and mobile phone. In the process of searching, he found his suicide note. The murderer directly imitated his handwriting, wrote another suicide note, and put it on the coffee table of the sofa. "I want to repent to the organization. For so many years, I have done a lot of wrong things. I am sorry for the organization's cultivation. Today, I will apologize with my death. Ma ###. Then, he completely erased all traces of him in the room. Like carrying a little chick, he carried Vice Principal Ma to the balcony, opened the window, placed a small stool, and directly pushed Vice Principal Ma down from upstairs. After everything was done, a few seconds later, there was a bang sound of falling to the ground, and the screams of the people around. The murderer sneered and calmly left Deputy Director Ma's house. Mr. Yi watched the news. Deputy Director Ma jumped from a 10-story building and left a suicide note. He committed suicide to escape punishment. He was sorry to the organization. It was said that he had depression before his death. At the same time, it was also reported that Deputy Director Chen suddenly died in the workplace in the performance of official duties. The cause of death was unknown, and the police were investigating. In any case, although this time they didn't pull these two key figures to their side, at least the clues were cut off here, and they could take a breather. Has the money in Deputy Director Ma's son's account been transferred out? It has been transferred out. At that time, it was just a virtual transfer, and it didn't really go into his account. Ming Tian reported. Good, according to the request of the higher-ups, directly transfer it out of the country. But Mr. Yi, although this matter has been solved, our financial crisis still exists. Do we still have to transfer so much money? Mr. Yi gritted his teeth. The protection of the higher-ups must be guaranteed. If they made the higher-ups unhappy, then their lives would be even more difficult. I will ask the higher-ups again. Ming Tian was distressed, but there was nothing he could do. The higher-ups were a wolf that couldn't be fed. Mr. Yi, you have to think twice. I think the higher-ups are simply a bottomless pit. We have already given him so much money, but he still can't be fed. With this money, we could have lived a comfortable life long ago. Why must we feed him? Ming Tian said with righteous indignation. He is in charge of the entire cultivation world. If we don't listen to him, who should we listen to? Mr. Yi was helpless. Old man Yi, think about it. He's just an ordinary human being. If he lived peacefully with us and shared some benefits, that would be understandable. But his appetite is getting bigger and bigger, and it's almost impossible for us to live anymore. Are we still going to tolerate him? Mr. Yi, think about it again. He is just an ordinary human. Ming Tian persuaded earnestly, and at the same time, his eyes revealed a fierce look. What do you mean? Mr. Yi suddenly opened his eyes wide and stared at Ming Tian. Ming Tian nodded hard. Mr. Yi, instead of letting him control us, can't we control him? Mr. Yi suddenly shut his mouth, and a huge wave of emotions surged in his eyes. Mr. Yi told the higher-ups about his request on the phone, and it indeed made the higher-ups very unhappy. Mr. Yi quickly asked for a meeting. Director Zhou, I feel that there is a need to give you a comprehensive report on the actual situation. It is related to our future strategic direction. I need your guidance. Director Zhou reluctantly agreed. The two agreed to meet at a secret location. This time, the security measures were very comprehensive. Mr. Yi arranged all his people outside the meeting place, and also set up a formation. Even a fly couldn't fly in. The higher-ups made Mr. Yi wait for a full 2 hours before they came. But Mr. Yi could only clench his teeth and endure. When the higher-ups came in with a gloomy face, Mr. Yi quickly smiled and personally took off his coat and hung it up. He pulled out a chair and waited for him to sit. Director Zhou, we have encountered a very big problem right now. We want to ask for your help. With your way of doing things, you have already been exposed. Yes. It is indeed our incompetence. Mr. Yi lowered his head and admitted his mistake. Recently, we feel that we are being controlled everywhere. The funds can't be returned. Right now, the cash outflow is a big problem. Do you think we can slow down the overseas funds? Chapter 244. I've given you so much power and paved every path for you. Yet, you're telling me that it's very difficult? Minister Zhou, It's really not easy to manage such a big business. Moreover, I have a feeling that there's an invisible hand pushing these things behind the scenes. Do you think someone is playing dirty tricks in the dark? Who can play dirty tricks on you? Can't you just move your fingers and everything will be settled? Moreover, aren't you still producing pills? Could it be that the cultivators below are disobedient? That's not true. From my perspective, everything is normal. However, recently, everything has been going wrong. I also feel that it's very strange. Or is it because your ability to manage the business is not enough? In today's society, it's not just brute force that can win. If something that even you cultivators can't handle, do you think ordinary people can? Yes. We still need to improve our standards. However, Minister Zhou still wants to ask you to transfer the money outside the country. Can you wait a little longer? This matter is not negotiable. It must be transferred immediately. Minister Zhou, you have to let us live. If we can't live, who will provide you with an endless supply of supplies in the future? Elder Ye's voice slowly changed from the initial low voice to a calm one. Minister Zhou felt the change in Elder Ye's attitude. He narrowed his eyes. Are you trying to break the pot with me? Elder Yi saw that he couldn't get through to Minister Zhou. The negotiation had broken down. He simply sat up straight and leaned against the sofa behind him. His tone carried a hint of threat. Minister Zhou, sometimes a person has to stop before going too far. Only when both of us win can we be happy. Minister Zhou narrowed his eyes. Looking at your attitude, you want to rebel? Elder Yi smiled non-committally. The word rebel is not the word. It's just a kind persuasion. I hope that Minister Zhou will consider it. Then what if I say that I don't have time to consider it? Then I'll have to consider it carefully. After Old Man Yi finished speaking, he glared at Zhou Donghuang and a wave of pressure spread out. The power of a saint illusionary realm cultivator was different from the others. A boundless power like the sea smashed towards Department Head Zhou's head. Old Master Yi left some leeway. He was afraid that he would smash this insignificant human to death. He only used a little of his strength. He was already laughing in his heart. Who asked you to yell at me all the time? Who asked you to demand so much from me? I should have let you have a taste of living a life worse than death. The feeling of being the master was 2F** King awesome. In less than a second, the faint smile on Elder Ye's face suddenly froze. His pressure seemed to have met an indestructible wall, and he couldn't get past it. Could it be that there was a problem with the array he had set up? He sensed his surroundings and found that the array formation was still there, enveloping the entire room like a barrier. He glanced at Minister Zhou, who was still sitting on the sofa with a gloomy expression, as if nothing had happened. Elder Yi suddenly became nervous. What kind of power could block it? He increased his pressure a little, about 40% of his strength, and rushed over. At this moment, Department Head Zhou stood up from the sofa and reached out his hand to gently push forward. Suddenly, the air in the entire room started to swirl. Elder Yi only felt that the pressure he released had wrapped around him. The power came from all directions, making his body unable to move. The most serious part was the bend of his knee. He didn't know why his knee involuntarily wanted to bend. He knelt on the ground with a plop. The pain from his knee hitting the ground made him grimace in pain. But what followed was psychological fear. As an old man in the Saint Illusionary realm, he hadn't felt this kind of fear for many years. This was a kind of disparity in power. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. It was a realm that he couldn't jump to no matter how hard he tried. For so many years, after he entered the door of the Saint Illusionary realm, he couldn't go any further. He thought that his cultivation had reached the peak, but today, he actually encountered a power that made him want to crawl on the ground. He looked at Department Head Zhou, who was looking at him gloomily. He was shocked. He opened his mouth in disbelief and wanted to say something, but the pressure had begun to make his throat taste sweet. As soon as he opened his mouth, he spat out a mouthful of blood. He quickly retracted the pressure and didn't dare to release it in this enclosed space. but his body was still bound. He knelt on the ground with his head hanging down. His neck seemed to be pressed by 1,000 pounds of gravity. He couldn't straighten his back. Old Man Yi used all the strength in his body to resist the pressure of Mount Tai. He concentrated all his strength on his back and neck. All the muscles in his body were trembling. He resisted like a weightlifter. His knees were deeply embedded in the ground, and there was a hole in the ground. His arms pressed against the ground, trying to absorb the power transmitted from the ground to add a little energy to his back. But it was useless. Old Man Ye's knees were curled up to his chest, maintaining a kneeling position. His whole body was pressed to the ground, and it seemed that he was going to be embedded in the ground. In this way, Old Man Yi was pressed down for nearly half an hour. Department head Zhou didn't say a word and just drank tea for half an hour. It wasn't until he washed the tea in the cup 3 times that he asked faintly, "Do you still want to rebel?" Old Man Yi finally understood that Department head Zhou was an expert in a higher realm than him. He was hiding his strength. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Wasn't he courting death? For a master in the Void Saint realm, it was as easy as stepping on an ant to kill a master in the Void Saint realm. Department head Zhou, I am sorry. I was wrong. Old Man Yi squeezed out these words from between his teeth. The pressure on his body finally disappeared. Old Man Yi still maintained the posture just now, lying on the ground and gasping for breath. He needed to adjust his breath. He felt that the pressure just now almost took away half of his life. When Old Man Yi finally gasped for breath and sat down on the sofa, he found that his clothes had been crumpled. He trembled and picked up his teacup on the table, wanting to take a sip. However, his hand slipped, and the teacup fell to the ground. The tea splashed all over the floor. His hands kept shaking, and he didn't have any strength to grab anything. "Old Man Yi, what's wrong? Did you have a stroke by accident? Why are you shaking like this?" Department head Zhou's cold words sounded in his ears. Old Man Yi didn't dare to be rash anymore. He quickly crossed his trembling hands and lowered his head, not daring to look at Department head Zhou. "The Eastern aristocratic family swears to be loyal to you. We won't dare to do it again. Humph. You won't cry until you see the coffin. Do what I tell you well. Find a way to solve the cash flow problem yourself. Use some special methods at special times. Just don't be so stupid anymore. Don't let others catch you. Be careful in whatever you do. I can't protect you like this every time. If anything happens again, your Zhouqian family will directly go out and take the blame." After that, Department head Zhou stood up, dusted his clothes, and walked out of the room. Ming Tian, who was at the door, didn't know what was going on inside. He only saw the department head glancing at him without leaving a trace. Then, he couldn't help but be pushed to the ground, showing a crawling posture. He raised his head in horror and looked at Department head Zhou's back, who had already walked away. After a while, he stood up. He rushed into the room and saw Old Man Yi sitting on the sofa. He looked at Old Man Yi with a face full of horror. He pointed at the door and stammered, "Old Man Yi, he." Then he heard Old Man Yi say weakly, "His realm is higher than mine. Don't think about resisting. Just do it obediently." After hearing this, Ming Tian only felt his legs and stomach trembling non-stop. He also sat down on the chair. Qiao Xiao and Yen Ran were in this world space. They didn't know what was going on outside at all. They were still working hard for their own spiritual transformation pill. When the two of them returned to the Ninth Heaven Fairy's palace, they saw that the Ninth Heaven Fairy had already woken up. She was holding the immortal execution grass in a daze. Yenran walked forward and gently sat beside her. "Fairy, are you feeling better?" The Ninth Heaven Fairy looked at the sparkling diamond ring on Yenron's hand and then looked at Xiao Xiao. "I really envy you guys. The beauty in this world comes from nothing. It is a good beginning and a good end. I know why you guys are here. This is also my wish. With Invincible's immortal execution grass, I will definitely be able to help you guys refine the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill. Come with me. The ninth heaven fairy led the two of them to the alchemy room. The little animals couldn't wait to surround the room and chirp non-stop. The pill I'm refining this time is not your food. Obediently help at the side. Don't come up and make trouble. The fairy's soft words made the little animals nod their heads. In their hearts, the fairy was the most beautiful and gentle. Yenran and Xiao Xiao looked at the fairy interacting with the little animals. They sighed in their hearts. What a beautiful woman. Originally, she was the envy of the world, but now she had such a tragic ending. The fairy seemed to be able to see the sympathy in their eyes. The fairy smiled. You don't have to sympathize with me. I have finally found my lover. I feel that my life is complete. After refining the pill, this space will no longer exist. I only hope that you guys can help me and my lover complete our unfinished wishes. After saying that, she didn't look back and focused on igniting the flame in the alchemy furnace. The ninth heaven fairy's movements were like moving clouds and flowing water, full of beauty. Layers of flame rose from the bottom of the alchemy furnace. At different heights, the color of the flame was different. After a while, the ninth heaven fairy turned to Xiao Xiao and said, "The size of the flame needs to be controlled by someone. Previously, I was alone. Doing several things at the same time would affect the effect of refining the pill. So, Xiao Xiao, can you help me control the flame?" "No problem. Leave it to me. We have practiced many times before. You can't move here. No matter what happens, you must maintain the intensity of the flame." Yenran took out the cauldron they used to refine the pill and handed it to the ninth heaven fairy. "Do you think this cauldron can help?" Chapter 245. The ninth heaven fairy's eyes lit up. "This is a treasure. We can use it to refine the small herbs first, then transfer them to the big cauldron. Then Yenran, you'll be in charge of refining the herbs in the small cauldron." The fairy turned her finger, and a small flame ignited from her middle finger, igniting the small cauldron in Yenran's hand. Then the ninth heaven fairy silently chanted a few incantations, and the small cauldron was surrounded by flames. The small cauldron's flame was blue, and the big cauldron's flame was multicolored. The entire alchemy room was wrapped in hot flames, like a burning hope. Xiao Xiao and Yenran looked at each other. Their cheeks were illuminated by the flames, and their eyes were filled with affection, as if they were living creatures swaying in a line of affection. "Yenran, maintain the temperature of the small cauldron like this. I've already set it to a constant temperature. You just need to refine these herbs into powder. You two have to hold on. I've already practiced many times before. Other than the steps of the immortal execution grass, I've already memorized the other steps. All the herbs need to be refined 49 times. Yenran retracted her gaze, and suddenly realized why they hadn't succeeded before. It turned out that the Spirit Transformation Pill Book didn't mention the requirement of 49 times. It seemed that the ninth heaven fairy had slowly figured it out. You two have to focus. When you're done, you'll have plenty of time to be intimate. The most important thing now is to refine the pill." Yenran and Xiao Xiao blushed at her words, and immediately focused on refining the pill. Yenran and the others had also brought some herbs over, but for this 49 times, this amount of herbs was completely insufficient. Although the ninth heaven fairy had a lot of herbs, it was still not enough. Thus, the ninth heaven fairy ordered the two of them to watch the fire, and she went up the mountain to pick herbs. Yenran and Xiao Xiao did not dare to move, except for Yenran, who occasionally threw some pills into the small furnace. But the pills in their hands were about to be used up. Layer after layer of white medicinal liquid had been refined, and the ninth heaven fairy had not returned yet. Yenran wanted to use a small bowl to scoop out the concoction, but when she looked around, she couldn't find any utensils to hold the concoction. She turned to look at Xiao Xiao and said, "Xiao Xiao, do you have a small bowl next to you?" Xiao Xiao also looked around. "I don't have anything here, even the immortal extermination grass is gone." Yenran turned around abruptly. "What did you say?" Even the immortal extermination grass is gone? Yes, I think it was beside me just now. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming jumped out. The ninth heaven fairy took the immortal extermination grass away. We saw it. Qiao Xiao immediately reported to Yanran. Yanran, something is wrong. The ninth heaven fairy said she went to pick herbs, but she took the immortal extermination grass away. Yanran couldn't help but worry. She had a feeling that the ninth heaven fairy seemed to be too calm after waking up. There was even a smile on her face, so calm that it was a little strange. The more Yanran thought about it, the more she felt that something was wrong. She suddenly stopped what she was doing. Qiao Xiao, something is wrong. Let's hurry and find her. I'm afraid something will happen. Qiao Xiao chased after Yanran. Yanran didn't look around aimlessly. Instead, she grabbed a small animal on the ground and asked it to lead the way to the ninth heaven fairy. The small animals were really intelligent. They immediately led Yanran and Qiao Xiao in the direction of the lavender. At this time, it was already late at night. When Qiao Xiao and Yanran arrived at the lavender hillside, they saw a patch of darkness shrouding the bright flowers during the day. In the middle of the flowers, the ninth heaven fairy, who was wearing a white gauze, had already dug a big hole. She was currently lying in the hole, surrounded by gauze, covering the entire bottom of the hole. She was hugging the immortal extermination grass in her arms, and her body was covered with lavender. At this time, her expression was serene. The sparkling and translucent teardrop at the corner of her eye had already dried up. In the bottom of the hole, she was breathtakingly beautiful. Yanran quickly jumped into the hole. She pushed aside the lavender and checked the ninth heaven fairy's pulse. Yanran's hand trembled. She looked at Qiao Xiao and shook her head slightly. Qiao Xiao's heart immediately sank. The ninth heaven fairy wasn't here. Who would help Yanran refine the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill? So she was already prepared to die. No wonder she was so calm. Yanran said sadly. But at this time, the little squirrel that was filled with spiritual energy came to the side of the hole and passed a letter to her. It was left behind by the ninth heaven fairy. Yanran, don't blame me for not being willing to help you. It's just that I am unable to personally refine my lover into the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill. I hope you can understand. My lover and I are suffering from the pain of not being able to sleep together in life. I hope that we can be buried together in death. So Yanran, let us die together first. After we have coexisted, you can dig us out. Not only will the invincible become the immortal extermination grass, I will also become one of the herbs and coexist with him. This is my wish. I want to be together with the invincible forever. Wait a few more days. Wait until we have turned into immortal extermination grass before coming again. After Yanran finished reading the letter, she passed it to Qiao Xiao with a heavy heart. After Qiao Xiao finished reading, he sighed and went forward to hug Yanran. This might be a kind of release for her. She can finally be together with the invincible. There are so many lovers in the world, but there are very few who can be as happy as the two of us. Qiao Xiao, let's pay our respects to them. The two of them can be considered as our masters. The invincible is your master, and the hibiscus spectrum belongs to the ninth heaven fairy. She is my master. In the unseen world, the two of us can also be considered as their descendants. Let us send them on their way. My heart is filled with panic. Kong Xiaoming is already crying in my bracelet. I also want to cry. What should I do? The rims of Yanran's eyes were already red. The two of them hugged each other and cried. In this lavender bush, a tombstone was erected for the invincible couple. As their disciples, the two of them knelt in front of the tombstone and guarded it for 3 days and 3 nights. The ninth heaven fairy's serene appearance did not change at all in these few days. On the 3rd day, when the sky brightened, the ninth heaven fairy's body gradually turned illusory. The light muslin on her body fluttered with the wind and gradually flew up into the sky. It contrasted with the red clouds on the horizon, forming a perfect contrast. And in the huge pit that was filled with lavender, only 2 precious herbs were left. The original immortal extermination grass was still fresh and glistening. At this moment, there was another unknown grass wrapped around its leaves. It wriggled up from the roots. It was like a kind of entanglement, but more like a kind of dependence, or it could be said that there was also a solemn and stirring declaration of sovereignty. Yenran devoutly held up the two grasses. She was happy that the two of them were finally united. Qiao Xiao, they are finally together. Yes, master and mistress are finally together. No one will disturb them anymore. They also have their own disciples to send them off. Everything should be perfect. Yenran, next, it's time for us to take revenge for them. Let's go, let's recover our spiritual power first. Starlight flowed in the eyes of the two. A sense of mission arose spontaneously. The two of them brought the two grasses back to the pill refining room. Qiao Xiao, I think that the ninth heaven fairy was lying to us when she said that we should practice the herbs 7 by 749 times. The book didn't mention this process. Maybe she was just stalling for time. I guess so too. Let's practice according to the method you researched before. Okay, let's review the refining methods of the other herbs. After we make sure there are no mistakes, we'll add the immortal execution grass. Now, the benefits of Qiao Xiao and Yenran practicing for so long could be seen. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming watched the two's smooth movements in the space, as well as their calm temperature control. They couldn't help but praise, Qiao Xiao, you're really good. The temperature is actually perfect. You're like a standard thermometer. That's right. Why don't you ask Brother Qiao who he is? I've been practicing for so long. Moreover, it's Yenran's matter. How can I not do my best? But Qiao Xiao, let me remind you. If Yenran recovers her spiritual power, then you can't do whatever you want. Kong Xiaoming suddenly said. Qiao Xiao's hand trembled. What do you mean? Can't you figure it out? If Yenran recovers her spiritual power, then it won't be so easy for you to control her. F***CK, your brother Qiao relies on brute force. I rely on my charm. Did you forget that when I proposed 2 days ago, it was Yenran who took the initiative? You just wait and see. Yenran is very busy. Kong Ming didn't mind blowing things up and added. This grass was seriously planted in Qiao Xiao's heart, and it was gradually growing. He looked at Yenran and asked with uncertainty, Yenran, after you recover your spiritual power, will you? Qiao Xiao hesitated and couldn't ask the question he wanted to ask. Yenran was concentrating on putting in the herbs. Let's make the pills first. I don't know if I can recover my spiritual power. Don't think too much. The most important thing is to control the temperature. Qiao Xiao thought about it and agreed. He had led Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming astray. You two shut up. Since Yenran has agreed to my proposal, then my happiness is just around the corner. The most important thing now is to make the pills. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming looked up at the sky. Kong Xiaoming said directly, Yenran is stronger than you. After she recovers her spiritual power, won't you be more afraid of her like before? Am I afraid? I love her. Love gives birth to respect. Although Qiao Xiao was stubborn, he suddenly felt that Kong Xiaoming was right. He glanced at Yenran with hidden bitterness. He remembered his previous happiness, which was something that couldn't be obtained even if he begged for it. Yenran, who had no spiritual power, was better. No matter what he did, she couldn't resist. Yenran looked up and saw Qiao Xiao's eyes. She knew that he was thinking nonsense again. She directly threw the herbs in her hand at Qiao Xiao. If you think nonsense again, I'll return the diamond ring to you. Qiao Xiao was so scared that he trembled. He didn't dare to think nonsense anymore and began to make the pills seriously. In this way, the two of them tried again and again. After 3 days and 3 nights, they really didn't have enough herbs. They had to go up the mountain to find the same herbs. Fortunately, the space here was big enough, and they could easily find any herbs they wanted. After many experiments, they finally had a good idea of the order of placing all kinds of herbs and how many to place. Yenran made a balance and accurately measured the quantity down to the gram. Finally, She gave Yan-Ran a chemical formula. As long as they followed this formula, they would definitely be able to make the antidote for the spiritual transformation pill. Qiao Xiao looked at Yan-Ran's serious appearance, and his heart was full of worship and love. Where could he find such a smart woman? He believed that in the whole world, there was only one person like her. In this way, everything was finally ready. All that was left was the last official appearance. Chapter 246. After going through countless trials, Yan-Ran carefully inspected the powder that they had refined. She divided it into different portions and placed it in small bowls. The book said that when refining the immortal execution grass, the powder of other herbs had to be added little by little to achieve a sufficient fusion and produce the correct medicinal effect at different temperatures. Qiao Zhao's task was to write different names and amounts, and a small label was attached to the small bowl. This was a laboratory. Looking at the small bowl that was already full of labels and half a cabinet, Qiao Xiao stretched his body in satisfaction. Yan-Ran, have we already completed half of the work? Yan-Ran stretched her shoulders. After all, she was not like Qiao Xiao, who still had magic power to support himself. Her eyes were red and dark. Qiao Xiao had already helped her several times, but the exhaustion of her body could not be deceived. Yan-Ran, you can't continue like this, you have to rest. We don't know how long we will have to practice later, and we can't stop halfway. If your energy can't keep up, then wouldn't all our previous efforts be wasted? Yan-Ran knew that Qiao Xiao was right, so she nodded, then I'll go sleep for a while. Qiao Xiao immediately followed, Yan-Ran, I'll sleep with you for a while. Yan-Ran glanced at him, are you letting me have a good rest? Qiao Xiao shrunk his neck, I'll help you cover with a quilt. After Yan-Ran left, Qiao Xiao sat on a chair and gradually closed his eyes. These few days, not to mention Yan-Ran, he was also very tired, because he had to completely concentrate his energy, and there couldn't be any deviation. No wonder alchemists were very rare. Qiao Xiao also tried it with Yan-Ran, it was simply not something a human could do. He remembered that his family had given him a lot of pills, and now that he thought about it, it was really a sin, but it couldn't be called a waste, they were all used on Yan-Ran and himself. Who asked them to both be injured? Just like that, in a daze, Qiao Xiao finally fell asleep with all sorts of thoughts in her mind. What the two of them didn't expect was that they had been away for a long time. They thought that only a week had passed, but they didn't expect that there was a time difference between the space and the outside world. There had been no news of the two of them for nearly a month. The first to find out was Yi Xuanfei. On the third day after Qiao Xiao left, she found that she couldn't contact Qiao Xiao. His phone was never in the service area, and there was no reply when she sent a message. Soon after, she found that Yan-Ran was also missing. Yi Xuanfei's smart brain immediately found something strange. As long as it was related to Qiao Xiao, her nerves would immediately be 10,000 times more alert. She immediately guessed the truth. Qiao Xiao and Yan-Ran didn't know what they were doing. She secretly sneaked into Yan-Ran's house, but found that she wasn't there. She went to Qiao Zhao's company, but the people in the company told her that Qiao Xiao had gone on a long trip. She felt like she was Sherlock Holmes looking for a missing person. She had already defined herself as the main wife, and her future husband ran away with a mistress. It was simply unbearable. She used all the connections of the Eastern aristocratic family and finally found out that Qiao Xiao and Yan-Ran had taken a plane to Huanghai City many days ago and stayed in a hotel suite. Yi Xuanfei gritted her teeth. Why were the two of them staying in the same room? It seemed like Qiao Xiao was lying to her. What were the two of them doing in Huanghai City? Yi Xuanfei recalled that when she was eating with Qiao Xiao kept asking her about the situation in the Eastern aristocratic family and the layout of the array in the ancestral home. Now that she thought about it, why was it all so coincidental? Something was wrong. She couldn't guess what the two of them were up to, but she bought a plane ticket back to Huanghai. She wanted to go back and wait for them. Qiao Xiao dared to betray her, so she would definitely teach Yan-Ran a lesson. Little Six looked at the news report in shock. It was different from what Yen Ran had expected. It turned out that the two key figures, Deputy Director Ma and Deputy Director Chen, had died at the same time. Yen Ran's plan was to use the two of them to submit the evidence to a higher level. This way, the truth of the crime would be presented to a higher level like a complete picture. Now that the two key figures had died, Little Six sensed that it must have been done by the Eastern aristocratic family. He didn't know what went wrong and why the two of them were exposed. He wanted to discuss it with Yen Ran, but he couldn't get in touch with Yen Ran. Many days ago, Yen Ran had written him an email, telling him that she might be going out for a period of time. The follow-up arrangements were written very clearly. However, his plan didn't include what to do after the two of them died. Little Six didn't dare to act rashly. He didn't know if Yen Ran had been exposed. He was so anxious that he simply cut off all contact. It had to be said that the smart Little Six had saved himself. The Eastern aristocratic family, Old Yi, and the others weren't to be trifled with. With the help of the higher-ups, they started to investigate layer by layer. After the investigation, they found that the clues were scattered. They were all submitted by unrelated local informants. Could it be that things were really so coincidental? One by one, the seemingly scattered branches and leaves finally gathered into a big tree. The Eastern aristocratic family fell into a confusing conjecture. Little Six told everyone to go into hibernation and cut off all contact temporarily. He directly went out for a vacation. After Yen Ran and Xiao Xiao woke up, the two of them started to refine the immortal execution grass. There was only one immortal execution grass, so there couldn't be any mistakes. Yen Ran chased all the small animals out of the medicine room. She explained to them that they were refining a very important pill and that they would play with them after a period of time. The small animals wandered around the door reluctantly. Even after the door was closed, they still wandered around the room. Yen Ran took a deep breath. Xiao Xiao, are you ready? Okay, Yen Ran, let's start. You can only succeed, you can't fail. Yen Ran directly lit up the big furnace. The enclosed space was instantly filled with hot steam. The flames were colorful and there were 9 different colors from the bottom to the top, surrounding the entire furnace. This should be the furnace that the 9 heavens fairies brought down from the realm of the gods. It looks like a divine weapon. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming praised in the bracelet. It was more than 10,000 times better than the small furnace that Yi Xuanfei brought over. Yi Xuanfei's small furnace could only refine ordinary herbs. The real peerless medicine could only be refined with a big furnace like this. Xiao Xiao, pay attention to the control of the fire. According to the book, the temperature of each layer of flame must be maintained at a constant temperature. Yen Ran was completely focused. According to the book, she added powder and herbs bit by bit. The magical thing about this furnace was that the herbs would start to be refined from the top layer. Once the required herbs were refined, they would automatically fall to the next layer. Then, after the refinement of the next layer was successful, they would enter the next layer. This cycle would repeat until the essence of the pill was finally condensed. Xiao Xiao used her magic to control the temperature of each layer. Gradually, his palms began to sweat, and so did his forehead. The room was so hot that it made him feel uncomfortable. He took the opportunity to take off his clothes, leaving only his underwear on. Yen Ran stared at him blankly for a moment. Then, she glanced at him again, and then turned back to continue looking at the herbs in her hands. Yen Ran, are you hot? Do you want to take off your clothes? No. But after a while, Yen Ran and Xiao Xiao were the same. Their clothes were all wet and stuck to their bodies. Yen Ran stopped and took off her trousers. Inside, she was also wearing a pair of boxers, so she wouldn't be exposed. But her 2 slender and straight legs with distinct joints, slender calves and exquisite ankles stimulated and teased Xiao Xiao's nerves in this enclosed space. Yen Ran didn't notice at first, but then she realized that Xiao Xiao's eyes were constantly glancing at her legs. Yen Ran coughed and her face flushed. Pay attention to the control of the fire. Xiao Xiao simply closed his eyes. This Yen Ran would challenge his self-control. The medicinal herbs in the furnace fell layer by layer and gathered in the deepest part of the furnace on the 9th layer. The antidote for the spirit transformation pill was refined with a total of 81 kinds of medicinal herbs. Each kind of medicinal herb looked like a big pile, but in the end, only a few grams of the essence could be used. All the refining in the beginning was just practice. When it came to the final refining, they could only guarantee that there wouldn't be any mistakes. But the workload was still there. This greatly challenged the willpower of the alchemist. In this world, it seemed easy to do something, but it was really difficult to do it well. This was just like cultivation. If you didn't peel off a few layers of skin, you wouldn't be able to succeed. Qiao Xiao felt that the skin on his body was superfluous. It was hot, like the sun in the desert without the cover of the atmosphere. It was burning and stimulating. He and Yanran kept drinking water, but even so, they couldn't keep up with the evaporation of the water. Yanran, can you help me pour the water off my head? I'm so hot. Qiao Xiao had to keep leaning against the furnace, unlike Yanran who could avoid the heat after putting in the medicinal herbs. Yanran brought a basin of cold water over and directly poured it over Qiao Xiao's head. After a long drought, he shook his head like a puppy, splashing water everywhere. Then, he fiercely poured a large cup of cold water. Yanran just looked at him like this. The water droplets slid down from the top of his head, along his cheeks, collarbones, and chest muscles. Qiao Xiao was still like a puppy, sticking out his tongue and gasping for air. Yanran suddenly blushed and secretly said in her heart, "Evildoer." She quickly turned around. Qiao Xiao suddenly reacted. He asked Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming in his mind, "Did Yanran blush just now?" "It seems so. She's craving your body." Qiao Xiao listened with an enigmatic smile. His eyes followed Yanran around. After a while, he said to Yanran with a bitter face, "Yanran, I think I drank too much water just now. I want to pee." Chapter 247. Yanran was stunned. She hadn't considered this problem before. She took a basin and placed it in front of Qiao Xiao. "Take care of it yourself. I'll go out first." With that, she turned and left. "Wait. Yanran. I can't move my hands. Help me." Qiao Xiao's eyes kept rolling, looking guilty and expectant. Yanran was stunned. "How can I help you?" Qiao Xiao signaled with his eyes. Yanran also glanced down. The two of them looked at each other a few times. Qiao Xiao's eyes were about to cramp, and Yanran didn't quite understand. Qiao Xiao slowly ground his teeth in his heart. Yanran usually looked smart, but why was her EQ so low in this kind of thing? How could he say this? So Qiao Xiao could only close his eyes and say, "Yanran, you have two choices. One is to help me take off my pants, or..." Yanran finally understood. Then, she just stared at Qiao Xiao, her face burning. After a while, she found her voice again. "I'll help you take off your pants at most. You can figure out the rest yourself." With that, she turned her back to Qiao Xiao and pulled down Qiao Xiao's flat underwear. Then, she realized that although it seemed simple, it was actually quite difficult. Yanran pulled for a long time but couldn't get it off. Then, she heard Qiao Xiao say in pain, "Yanran, don't force it. It's going to break." Yanran was so scared that she quickly stopped and ran away. "Figure it out yourself." Thus, Qiao Xiao struggled for a long time, twisting her body here and there. Finally, she solved the problem. After this small episode, Yanran no longer paid attention to Qiao Xiao's various tricks. Like an old monk in meditation, she concentrated on placing the medicinal herbs. The big furnace was like a sieve with 9 layers of pagoda, leaking the herbs from the top layer all the way to the deepest layer of the furnace. After such a long time, some herbs had already leaked to the 9th floor and were preserved at a constant temperature. Yanran looked at the amount of medicine produced by each layer, took a deep breath, and said to Qiao Xiao, and then to herself, "You can put in the immortal extermination grass now." She took the immortal extermination grass that was placed at the side and bowed in reverence. Then, She gently placed it in the furnace that was enveloped by the first layer of red flames. Xiao Xiao, raise it by 2 degrees. Xiao Xiao quickly increased his magic power, and the flames quickly wrapped around the first layer of the furnace, raising the temperature by 2 degrees. Yanran looked at Xiao Xiao with admiration, and Xiao Xiao was pleased with himself. Both of them looked at the changes of the immortal extermination grass nervously, not daring to blink. After being roasted by the flames for a while, the dewdrops originally on the immortal extermination grass disappeared, but the meandering grass that wrapped around its leaves clung onto it tightly, refusing to be separated from it no matter what. Finally, as the temperature rose, the immortal extermination grass and the grass on its body started to peel off, revealing tender grass flesh. Some of it was thick, while some of it was white. The grass that wrapped around its body seemed to have embedded itself into the immortal extermination grass's body. Xiao Xiao and Yanran magically discovered that the meandering grass was constantly growing, as if its body was dissected into countless thin threads, and the threads wrapped around the immortal extermination grass's body. The immortal extermination grass also seemed to be responding, as it stretched out its entire body, allowing the grass to wantonly take what it wanted. The two slowly merged into one, and could no longer be separated. After the two types of grass completed their fusion, it was as if the dust had settled. The liquid contained within the grass slowly seeped out, like the tears of a pair of lovers crying out of joy, and also like the blood of the entire body being sacrificed. Drops of liquid continuously seeped out, and the surroundings of the two stalks of grass sizzled. At the final moment, countless drops of liquid suddenly gushed out, surrounding the entire grass. The two stalks of grass finally completed their mission in this final sacrifice, and their bodies slowly turned into pale white powder. The essence of the immortal extermination grass was finally successfully extracted. Yanran was completely focused on the raging flames in the furnace, and her pale white face was covered in sweat. Refining medicine for a long time had already consumed more than half of her mental strength. If she was just an ordinary person, she would have already collapsed. Fortunately, Yanran had been cultivating the hibiscus art, and her mental strength was already much stronger than an ordinary person's. That was why she was able to hold on until now. It's a success, Yanran. Xiao Xiao shouted happily. Yanran also smiled faintly. The immortal extermination grass has been successfully refined, but it still needs to be fused with other medicines. We can't be careless. The white powder refined from the immortal extermination grass flowed down the furnace layer by layer. Yanran discovered that this grass could also be divided into different grades. Some of the nameless grass that she had refined before would always be slightly intercepted on the 1st to 8th layer of the furnace. When it finally fell to the 9th layer, it would already be exploited layer by layer, and only 1/8 of it would be able to enter. According to Xiao Zhao's words, this furnace was a tyrannical bandit. If one wanted to pass through, they would have to leave behind a toll. However, the immortal extermination grass was completely different. The tyrannical furnaces on the first 8 layers didn't dare to intercept a single strand of it. Instead, they had to open the door wide for such a noble grass, respectfully giving it away with both hands and acting humble. Xiao Xiao stared at the immortal extermination grass as it fell from the 1st layer to the 9th layer. It was as if a deity had descended from the heavens, descending into the mortal world. The medicinal herbs that had already been refined were like soldiers welcoming their general, and they all made way to welcome the arrival of the boss. When all the powder of the immortal extermination grass had fallen to the ground, these small grasses automatically formed a circle, clustered around it in the center, and waited for the general's command. Xiao Xiao, increase the firepower, burn with all your might. Yanran watched all of this anxiously. When the last drop of the immortal extermination grass powder fell to the 9th layer, she quickly gave the order. Xiao Xiao quickly released all of his demonic qi, causing the flames in the entire furnace to crackle. The heat filled the air. Xiao Xiao and Yanran's faces were already flushed red from the heat, and even their eyelids were starting to dry. The two of them didn't dare to close their eyes, and forced their eyes open to watch the changes in the medicinal herbs. Yanran handed Xiao Xiao 2 small sticks. Hold your eyelids open. At the last moment, they couldn't drop the ball at all. Qiao Zhao's eyelids were already poked with 2 marks, but he couldn't care less. The only thing in his mind was that he had to succeed. Yanran was even more so. Her hair had already started to drip water, obstructing her vision. She couldn't find a cloth to wipe her sweat with, so she simply took off her shirt and tied it over her head. Qiao Zhao only dared to take a glance, and quickly turned his head away. He chanted the clear heart incantation in his heart, throwing away all his thoughts, and striving for the final victory. At the last crucial moment, Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming also widened their eyes, nervously watching the changes in the medicinal pill. They saw that the white powder in the furnace on the 9th layer was wrapped up by an invisible hand, and rotated around in the furnace, gradually grinding the irregular edges into a smooth circle. Kong Xiaoming said excitedly, "It should be done soon." At this moment, Yanran suddenly took out a small knife, and fiercely slashed her palm. Qiao Zhao was so frightened that he shouted, "Yanran, what are you doing? Don't speak." Yanran sternly stopped Qiao Zhao, and placed her bloody hand above the medicinal pill. A strange thing happened. Yanran's blood was red, but it instantly turned white, and was absorbed by the medicinal pill without a trace. Yanran just let her blood flow. Qiao Zhao was very distressed when he saw this. "Yanran, can you use my blood?" Yanran gritted her teeth and said, "No, it can only be my blood. Otherwise, it won't be able to clear my blocked meridians." Qiao Zhao was so anxious that there was nothing he could do. He had to use all the devil qi in his body to maintain the temperature of the fire. He was a little worried about Yanran's blood and whether Yanran's hand would be burned. Yanran was motionless at this time. She closed her eyes and endured the pain of her hand being burned. At the same time, she felt waves of dizziness. She had lost a lot of blood, and the medicinal pill was like a vampire that could never be fed. After a long time, the medicinal pill seemed to tilt to the side, burped, and a drop of blood dripped into the furnace. "Okay, Yanran, it's done." Qiao Zhao immediately shouted. Yanran withdrew her hand and sat down on the chair next to her. She said to Qiao Zhao weakly, "Watch. If a strong fragrance wafts out, you can stop." After saying this, she fainted. Qiao Zhao was very anxious, but he couldn't move at the moment. He looked at Yanran's palm, which was still bleeding. He anxiously asked in his mind, "Kong Ming, Kong Xiaoming, Yanran fainted and is still bleeding. What should we do now?" "There's no way now. Hurry up and refine the medicinal pill in your hand and feed it to her. She will recover." Qiao Zhao looked at Yanran worriedly. He gritted his teeth and stamped his feet. He increased the heat with all his strength. The medicinal pill in the deepest layer of the furnace slowly spun, faster and faster. Qiao Zhao's heat seemed to have added a motor to it. Its rotation speed could not be seen clearly with the naked eye. In Qiao Zhao's eyes, the medicinal pill was originally the size of a fist, like a small snowball. However, as it kept spinning, some of the surrounding magazines and corners were thrown out. In the end, the core part became tighter and tighter, and became a small ball the size of a fingernail. Qiao Zhao didn't know if it was right. He couldn't wake Yanran up now, so he could only ask Kong Xiaoming, "This medicinal pill is getting smaller and smaller. Will it be gone in the end?" Kong Xiaoming said, "The medicinal pill should be this big. You're doing the right thing. No matter how big the medicinal pill is, it can't be swallowed. Hurry up and work harder." Qiao Zhao had no choice but to resign himself to fate. He raised his neck and shouted, gathering all the energy in his body, and made a final impact on the furnace. An overwhelming force rushed to the top of the furnace. The heat was at its peak, and the temperature in the room was at least 80 degrees. Qiao Zhao's hair was about to explode, and the surrounding herbs were blown away by his power. At this time, only the furnace was left in the center of the room, burning fiercely. Qiao Zhao's eyes were red. With his last roar, a strong medicinal fragrance drifted out. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.